Hey y'all, it's me, Miss Ty, the real deal. Nita's gives reaction. Let me get a little music on here, y'all. Y'all, when the AM people, y'all know. When you work, you just be so tired. You want to do stuff for people, and you just too be tired, but you just do it anyway. So I'm back now. Yeah, yeah. It's the real deal. Nita's Gives reaction, y'all. Let's do this thing. Woo! Jesus. Yeah. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to any and everybody selling in here now. Anybody. Everybody. Shout out to my mom, man. You see, when you work, y'all, we appreciate y'all being here. I'm sorry that I wasn't in the other one. I was just tired. Y'all, it just kicked in that way. Yeah, them 5 o'clock don't add up with me. Yeah, we appreciate y'all being here. Now today, I want to get into this Alice Murdaugh, y'all. Yes, but before I get started, I want to say a little couple of things that I'm sitting right here looking at. Let me put this up here for y'all. First of all, I want to do this. Hold on, y'all. Let me see. Whew. Okay, here we go. I'm always want to keep everybody aware of what's going on in these cases. I want to put this up here first. Hello, real deal. Let's dive with this Alice Murdaugh trial. Y'all hear me? That Alice something else, y'all. Oh, Mr. Alice. Yes. Alice. Okay. And please subscribe. And please subscribe in this content. And please join the channel for $4.99 monthly, y'all. Okay? My cash app is Lanita Gill 523. Feel free to donate for my hard work and love. Thanks for watching and interacting with the creator. Please be respectful at all times. Okay? I'm going to put my cash out right here, y'all. I just worked so hard. Put my cash out right there. Put that right there for y'all. Okay? Put my dollar sign in front of it. I don't usually do that. I think, this lady asked me this morning at work on here with me. She said, Lanita, why you gonna put your cash out up there? Usually I think it's begging, but I really do need it, guys. I really do. Need some gas and stuff. I want to do stuff for y'all. That's what it is, okay? So we about to get into this video. We about to get into this video, okay? As you come in, dust your feet out, get you something to drink, get you something to eat. Hey, y'all, then do this thing right here for me, okay? Yeah. Okay? Let me pull up our topic that we're going to talk about. We're about to get in that courtroom and deal with Alice Murdaugh. They telling on you, Alice. Because you took that hard working money that people work for. No, they rich. You made the checks out to you alleged. Everything is alleged. Feel it, Alice. Okay. Y'all ready? Mark. Set. Here we go. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna share something with y'all. I'm gonna share this. And before I share it, I need to turn my music down. Cause y'all, it's this case, the real deal over here. We've been following, and I like to follow any case. I don't care what color you are. I'm gonna be on that foot. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Turn this music down a little bit. I gotta hear these people. And watch Ellis, y'all. Watch Ellis. He don't have a care in the world. His wife and son has been shot with his gun. I don't know, it's Ellis allegedly. I don't know, did he allegedly owe anybody money? He had a habit he was addicted to, allegedly. But let's get with it. Hold on for a minute. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, let me see. There you go, right there. Let's go. Hold on, y'all. This is day 13. Okay, here we go. It's a little bit.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you, when I sustain an objection, that means you're to disregard the question and any response. You may proceed.
Yes, sir, Your Honor. May it please the court. Mr. Chensley, good morning.
Good morning.
Just to kind of reset the table from where we left off, you had testified about pursuing the case against the defendant over the boat wreck, correct?
Correct.
And you had communicated to the defense that the defendant was going to have to pay personally, correct?
Correct.
Not just the insurance.
Correct.
And you had been told that the defendant was broke, correct?
That's correct.
And you had filed a motion to compel. Had you filed a motion to compel state?
Don't forget, y'all. It was allegedly said that the defendant over there, Alex, who they speaking of, over here on this side, right here in the middle, right here, was broke. But it's a reason why he was broke.
402, seeking to identify any bank accounts that he had.
In October of 2020.
Could I have the Elmo, please? And the screen, David, if you can help.
Y'all heard that? He look, he's smart, y'all. He said, don't forget, yeah, he showed no emotion. Then you know what? I heard that. He said, in 2020, he didn't have no money. Okay.
All right. I think one of the things that you had also testified to is that just generally COVID had kind of slowed things down in the court system.
Ultimately, yes.
And then you had some health issues that you were dealing with as well. Is that correct?
At some point, yes.
At some point in time, did a hearing in the boat case that would include a hearing on this motion to compel that's on the screen get scheduled?
It did.
And when did it initially get scheduled?
My recollection is it was set for May the 30th, 2021.
All right, and let me show you exhibit real quick.
Y'all, I am this dude right here. His emotions, his vibes seem like he's mentally been doing something. I ain't gonna say, but he look like he been doing something. Look at him.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as States 404 and see if you recognize this document.
I do.
All right. And what is that?
That is a communication about the hearing. It's actually about a status conference about the hearing that's going to be on May the 30th.
Okay. All right. And what was the day that status conference going to be?
May the 7th, 2021.
All right. And then look at the subject line on that and just take a look at that real quick.
Motion's hearing May the 11th.
Yeah. Was that the date or was it May 30th for the motions hearing? To your recollection?
To my recollection, it's May the 30th.
All right. But this email is related to that particular hearing, is that correct?
It's related to the hearing on my motion to compel and some other hearings. Yes.
All right. At this point, Your Honor, I move to admit States 404, I believe, without additional.
Yes.
Is that the particular email we're just discussing?
It is. And you're correct, the hearing was May the 11th.
May the 11th?
Yeah.
Okay. Haven't seen that request your recollection?
Yes.
You know, most of them act like they kind of sweet. It's something going on in this shop. It's something going, and it just payday. It's like he's sweet. It look like most of the men's got up here on the counter. It's nice. You know what I mean? Something going on in this circle.
We'll show you how it's been marked as States 405. And have a take a look at that and see if you recognize this.
I do.
All right, and tell me what this is, please.
It's an email from Judge Hall, who had been assigned the case about the hearing. John Tiller, who was Alex lawyer in the boat crash case, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer about the same time, just before I found out I had cancer. And so he had a chemotherapy treatment that was going to run long the day of the hearing. He didn't always know when his treatments would be, but about a week before he would know. And so the hearing needed to be rescheduled to accommodate John's treatment.
All right, and just initially, when that request was made, what was the judge in that case's response?
The hearing would go forward as scheduled, and one of Alex's other lawyers could attend.
All right, so initially the judge denied that continuous request, is that correct?
That's correct.
And what happened after that that ultimately resulted in it being continued?
I sent an email. John Tiller was my friend, and I didn't object to continuing it. And then the judge had a status conference, and at that point, we continued the hearing until June the 10th.
In the course of this litigation, given that we were coming out of COVID, had the judge in that particular case been relatively aggressive in wanting to move this case forward to your assessment?
The judge knew that I was in Florida receiving treatment, and
everybody, y'all, let me stop it for a minute. I know everybody in this case had some kind of illnesses every now and then. Everybody. Come on, y'all. Speed it up. Speed it up.
No, he wasn't being aggressive at that time. It was when I was ready, and so I was back and we were ready.
And that's what led to this initial hearing, is that correct?
Correct.
But ultimately, you agreed to let this thing be continued, correct?
I did.
All right. Your Honor, this time I'll offer States 4 or 5 on the evidence. Additional objection.
Submitted.
And down at the bottom of this email chain, what's the date on that? Can you read there on your screen? I need to bring it back to you.
May 5th, 2020.
Hold up,
And
y'all.
that's communication from whom?
Hold
That's
up.
from John Tiller to Judge Hall.
All right.
And that's relaying the need for the postponement for the chemotherapy treatment.
All right. And then there are the communications from you related to that. Well, let me go right here. This is the response right there. Is that correct from Judge Hall?
That's
Sorry
the
about that,
initial
yeah.
response, that he intended to go forward with the hearing as scheduled, and that Mr. Condon from the same firm could handle it.
Look at Atlas. He ain't even paying attention. Look at him. Look at him.
I'll show you now what's been marked as States 406 and see if you recognize this particular document.
I do.
All right. And what is this? Tell the jury what this is, please.
That's an email from John Tiller. So after the email that's on the screen saying I intend to go forward, John Tiller sent another email explaining a little more detail what's going on, and that he had, I believe it says he had spoken to me and I had agreed. They were my motions. There were some other motions, but when it's your motion, you can agree to continue it if a party wants it continued and you don't object. And so that's what
I
that's
know.
doing, trying to get the judge to not go forward with the May the 11th.
They kind of
All right, Your Honor, this time I offer States 406 in the evidence.
made up.
Admit it.
All right, and the date on that particular email is?
May the 6th, 2021.
21, y'all.
Did the judge ultimately, though, based on this series of emails, granted the continuance on this motions hearing, correct?
Well, he gave us a status conference in which we did by video, and ultimately he agreed.
Okay. And what day was the motions hearing that included the motion to compel rescheduled for?
June 10th, 2021.
Going back to States 402, one of the matters that was on the table to be heard would have been your attempt to get compelled responses to this interrogatory from the defendant, correct?
That's correct.
Seeking identification of his bank accounts.
That's correct.
Woo. They in that bank, y'all. Bank account.
Remember what day of the week? June the 10th, 2021 would have been?
I believe it's a Thursday.
How'd you hear about the murder of Maggie and Paul?
I got a phone call sometime in the middle of the night, 11:30, that's my recollection.
That was on June 7th, 2021,
That's right.
into June 8th, 2021.
I think I heard it's still June 7th when I hear about it, but yeah.
On June 8th, 2021, did you have any conversations with any of the lawyers involved in the boat case or any communications?
Now,
I
y'all,
believe so.
this is the boat case they are speaking about. Y'all remember yesterday when I did the paralegal at secretary? I let her talk. She was talking. This is the case she didn't get involved with because this is her kinfolks who they speaking about now. Yeah, they a mess.
I think that it was more of there wasn't a whole lot of consideration to be given to the fact that the hearing wasn't going to go forward. It was sort of shock and horror of what had happened, and nobody really knew what to do in the moment.
Of course, that hearing's not going forward after this.
It did not.
We'll show you what's been marked as States 407 and see if you recognize that particular document.
I do. This is an email from Judge Hall's law clerk. Judge Hall's over the boat crash case to me and the lawyer for Parker's, as well as about the fact that the hearing's not going forward.
All right, this time I'd offer states 407.
Say admit it.
What's the date of that email?
June 8th, 2021,
What time?
4:24 p.m. I think there's an email from John Tiller that precedes this one that morning, but
ultimately, there were communications the following day that obviously we're not going forward with this hearing on the motion to compel, correct?
yeah, pretty much me.
And at that period of time, was there any date set in the wake of all of this for it to be reheard?
There was not.
In the wake of the murders, did you generally understand or have an idea of at least what had happened to Maggie and Paul, how they had been killed?
I did.
Just from media reports and the rest of
That's right.
it. And did that have any effect, that tragedy of their deaths, did that have any effect on your assessment of the boat case and how everything fit together, if things were how they initially appeared?
It would have affected. I mean, yes, it did, and it would have ended the case.
It would have ended the case against who?
Against Alex Murdaugh.
And explain that to the jury. Why? What had changed after this terrible tragedy?
Right.
When you have a civil case, if nice people get good verdicts, okay, just generally speaking. Yes, sir. Nice people get good verdicts. You really have to motivate a jury to want to help somebody in a civil case. And so if you compared, say, Attila the Hun with some sweet grandmother, who gets a better result? It's the sweet grandmother. If Alec is the victim of a vigilante, nobody's going to hold him accountable.
Look at
It doesn't
Alex.
make any difference what he
Look
did
at Alex.
or how clearly what he did contributed. The case would be over against Alec. And so initially, it could have been over. It appeared that it was going to be over against Alec because I had other defendants. I had Parker's convenience store that clearly violated its rules, and so you wouldn't want a very sympathetic person in your case when you have somebody who clearly violated the rules and caused this tragedy. So it would have been over against him.
How you know? Hold up. You don't know it would have been over? This dude right here, y'all, is a trip. The one on the stand. He don't know if nothing would have been inviolated. He don't call that shot. Judge called that shot. Y'all, you got some people looking out for Alice and some not. Trying to say that the person at the store bend the rules a little instead of Alex. That's what he allegedly saying.
It changed if Alec had truly his family had been the victim of some vigilante or something like that.
The sympathies would have changed if that had been true.
And assessing those sympathies and those emotions in a case like this is what you do as a plaintiff's lawyer. Is that correct?
It's what we try to do.
See?
And it's what Alec Murdaugh used to do as well when he was a plaintiff's lawyer.
I think he was good at reading people and knowing what made them tick.
Thank you, Mr. Jensen. Nothing further at this time. Please answer any questions the defense may ask.
Thank you.
Mr. Barber.
Good morning, Mr. Tinsley.
Good morning.
Maybe just start asking a couple of questions that I think are just some things that we could agree on before maybe getting to some other things. Was there any life insurance for Maggie or Paul?
I asked him.
I don't believe there was any life insurance on anybody, including Alec.
Wait a minute. No.
This motions hearing.
Wait a minute.
which
Hold
was
up. Let
not
me
just-
stop this. I asked that question last night. I said, is there any life insurance? If y'all see this house that this man live in, and y'all know that this woman and this man got business about themselves and he was working with the law firm, Y'all gonna tell me wasn't no life insurance in this? Thank you. It was some life insurance in him. These folks don't rob that man already.
Just the motion to compel, there was other motions, correct, on June the 10th?
Yeah, there were some other motions.
And if that hearing had gone forward, at least for the motion to compel, this would have been another step in a process? Right, in other words, I believe it was your previous testimony, I think it's fair to say that there wouldn't have been an explosion on June the 10th.
I'm so glad, y'all, this is a reaction channel. We got to stop. I'm so glad that this attorney just came back to ask him what I just said. How he gonna say that Alice Wood won the case by the other? What he about to ask him now is when this guy right here on the stand say that, oh, Alice would have won the case because how you gonna make some judgments? Y'all got to pay these slit rascals some attention. How he gonna know? How he gonna call the shot? These folks something else.
This would have been another step, but it wasn't the end point.
So what happens?
Is that correct, sir? Yes or no? Am I misstating your testimony?
Ooh,
There
well,
wouldn't have
so-
been an explosion on June the 10th?
You're jumping around, so it's hard for me
No.
to follow.
I apologize.
Well, if you let me finish.
No,
Your Honor, I would like to ask the witness to be allowed to finish his answer to one of those questions, and I object to the form of the question.
Pose one question.
yes, Your Honor. Did you previously testify, I think that it's fair to say there wouldn't have been an explosion on June the 10th?
I'm sorry,
Yes
you
or
were
no?
looking down. I couldn't hear what you said.
I'm sorry, I was reading it. I think it's fair to say that there wouldn't have been an explosion on June the 10th. But did you testify, did those words come from that stand when you previously testified, yes or no?
I'm not trying to give you a hard time. You looked down again, and I could not understand what you
I
said.
apologize for that. I'll hold it up. I'm just trying to read it accurately. I think it's fair to say that there wouldn't have been an explosion on June the 10th. Yes or no, is that your testimony previously? Just yes or no.
It's possible.
please.
You're trying to turn it into something it's not.
No,
but I
no, he
promise.
not. No, he not. I picked up on it. And I'm not an attorney. He's not. He's putting the words what you said in your mouth. You said in other words, you said that Alice would have got away with it. In that other little case part, see, you mad now. That's why you want him to look up at you. Y'all better watch these dudes, him. That's why Alice broke.
Said words to that effect.
Okay.
Yes, you did.
No further questions, Your Honor.
He said it. The judge heard it. I heard it.
Redirect.
I heard him.
You're asked about the motion to compel being another step in the process. Is that correct?
It was a way to put pressure on Alec.
But if after that hearing happened and an order granting a motion to compel had been issued, that starts a process that's going to run its course. Is that correct?
Objection, pleading.
If a order is, I'm sorry, I'll rephrase that. If a order to compel is granted, tell us about the process that happens after that as it relates to your specific interrogatory we've talked about here.
Sure. The process starts on Alec's side way before. If you look at those exhibits that they marked the email, you'll see Danny Henderson. Again, Danny Henderson was his personal lawyer. Danny Henderson is also a shareholder in the firm. Danny Henderson is reviewing every single document, that's how meticulous Danny Henderson is. He reviews all of the account information before I get it. And nobody knows better what Alec's making than Danny Henderson. I mean, you'll see all these checks going out and all these payments being made, and Danny Henderson would have known. So the explosion.
Object. Your Honor. Objection.
Basis for the objection.
Foundation.
Response.
Speaking of,
Speaking of response to the objection.
he has testified as to the fact of his interactions with that individual who actually brought him insurance documents to review. I think he has the basis to know.
Foundation. And your response to the objection.
I believe he has sufficient foundation to address that from his personal knowledge, Your Honor.
Overrule the objection. You may answer.
Thank you, Your Honor. For instance, I had subpoenaed the phone records, not only Alex, his father's, but we also had John Marvin, Alex's brother's phone records. Danny reviewed those records for a long time before I could get my hands on them. Danny was involved in everything. He was at every hearing. He was at every deposition. He was intimately involved in every aspect of the case.
Yeah, should be.
If an order to compel is issued, what was going to be your next step if you had an identification of accounts by the defendant?
Subpoena those accounts.
And if those accounts are subpoenaed, can potentially people move to quash those?
They could move to quash, but Danny Henderson would have looked at the documents in anticipation that I could get them.
Speculation.
I sustain the objection.
Look at that. Through their head.
If motions to quash had been filed, though, you could have continued to seek that and there would have been further hearings. Is that correct?
I would have continued.
Objection. So sustain. That's the leading.
What would have happened if motions to quash were filed as to any subpoenas you issued to it for the specific information about the defendant's accounts?
I would have continued to push. We would have continued to argue about it.
Would have a process been put in motion, though, that was going to conclusion if an order had been issued on June 10th, 2021?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Yeah, okay. I know he ready to get off that stand. Y'all, these folks rob Alex. There's some things. It's not only Alex in this case. It's not only Alex in this case. It's some more people involved in this case that robbed that man. Because when you hide and you're around people, you don't know what you don't told them to do. It's a lot going on in this case. There's a lot of little crooks up here. Look, he trying to run off that stage. Look at the stand.
Thank you.
Look at Alex.
The next witness.
I think Alex has secrets, other
On this
secrets.
kind of state of South Carolina calls Miss Blanca Simpson.
Look at Alex.
Be careful. Raise your right hand, left hand on the Bible. You affirm the testimony about the gifts of this trial shall give the truth to heaven God. Take a seat in the witness stand. State your name again for the record.
My name is Blanca Turrubiate-Simpson, Turrubiate-Simpson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Is this difficult for you to be here today?
Yes, sir, it is.
Will you please tell the ladies and gentlemen of this jury, Ms. Simpson, about yourself,
So
where you're from,
Shapiro.
your family, if you want to, and just kind of what you've been doing in life leading up to today, generally, please.
Yes, sir. I'm originally from Brownsville, Texas. I joined the military at the age of 17. I was in Norfolk, Virginia for almost 9.5 years. I was stationed on the USS Puget Sound, USS Shenandoah, Naval Air Station Oceana right before I left.
What'd you do there?
Heavy equipment operator.
Okay.
And my husband was also a heavy equipment operator. We're both in the same field. We decided that the military was just not going to be a good environment for raising children. So we made a decision, instead of moving to Texas, we moved to South Carolina. where he was from. And we have 5 children, 34, 31, 23, 21, and a 17-year-old. They're all been raised down here in South Carolina.
Any of them still at home?
Yes, sir, 17-year-old.
Where was your husband from? You said he moved back home. Where was he from?
My husband's originally from Gifford, South Carolina.
Say it again.
Gifford, South
Gifford.
Speak
Carolina.
up, man.
And what does he do?
He's a police officer for Hampton.
When you came to South Carolina, you never been here before, correct?
No, sir.
Okay. What did you do when you got here besides the hardest job in the world, being a mom and raising kids? What else did you do?
When we moved here, we had enough leave built that we didn't have to work for almost 2 months. So I went to, after about a week, I kind of got bored because I'm used to having hands-on doing something. So I went to the local Piggly Wiggly store in town and I asked I didn't know he was the owner at the time. I realized he was the owner after. If I could get a job because I was bored. And
How many kids do you have?
I have 5,
Okay.
but I only had the 2 oldest ones at that time. As long as they would get me out of the house for a little bit. So I took that job, and then within a week, called from another job that I had put in where it was grazing, welding in Scotsman, which is in Allendale County. And I figured, well, it offers benefits, and it would be better transition for the kids, dental, that sort of thing. So I went there after about 2 weeks. Another job called me and had better dental medical benefits for my kids. So that was the first time I ever, I went to work for the South Carolina Department of Corrections. I opened up Ridgeland Correctional Institution. I was the first class to graduate from Ridgeland Correctional Institution.
Okay, come on with
Worked
up
my
for
way
it.
up from correctional officer to sergeant. I managed the outside details and the road crew on the interstate. Also a crew that would go out to Hunting Island for maintenance to assist with the park rangers. In 2001, I was offered a job at the Federal Bureau of Prisons, and I accepted the job. So I left Ridgeland Correctional Institution, went to work for FCIS, the Federal Correctional Institution.
Ooh, hun, hurry up. Get to the.
Where I stayed until.
So in other words, y'all, they have to find out where they work and all this information like this in case somebody wanted to borrow money or somebody had enough money to borrow from a person. That's what they're doing.
2007. My job, basically, I started back from the bottom as a correctional officer, and before my year's up, I got promoted to the Special Investigative Support Tech Office, where I was responsible for managing, producing reports, weekly reports, and also profiling the Hispanic gangs, because there was not a lot of staff members that were bilingual. So my job basically became profiling, interviewing, and associating members, the inmate population with gangs.
And how long did you do that?
From 2001 to 2007.
Not that anybody cares, so this is that when I first met you?
Yes, sir.
Did you help me arrange a meeting with the prisoner I need to interview?
Yes, sir.
And why did you leave that job?
Just when you're the only one of the only ones in the office that's bilingual, and you're constantly getting called out for different incidents dealing with a Hispanic population that had grown up quite a bit from the time I got there. And still having to do your daily duties in the office and nobody's helping you, you kind of burn out pretty quick. So
So if an
I
incident,
made a decision to leave.
so if an incident happened when they needed a translator,
I
Your
was
phone got
called-
called.
I had to stop what I was doing and respond to whatever incident dealing with the Hispanic inmates.
what did you do after that?
I went into real estate for a little bit, which was not so good because that's when the market crashed.
And again, for the jury's edification, what year is this when you quit the prison?
2007
And you're living where?
in Brunson.
I'm sorry.
Brunson,
So how long did you stay in real estate?
maybe about a year and a half.
Your family's grown at this point, I presume?
Yes, sir.
And did there come a point that you met the defendant, Alex Murdaugh?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell them how that happened? Tell the ladies and gentlemen how that transpired.
When I first moved to Gifford with my husband, like I said, I was bored, so I went to work at the grocery store. At the grocery store, during the time that I moved, there was not a lot of Hispanic families living in that area. It has since grown over the years. I met a lady who I befriended. She was Hispanic, and we started talking because she was the only other Hispanic person that I had actually seen in the area. So we started talking back and forth, and it was nice to speak in your native tongue with somebody. Her son had an accident at the school on his way after school, walking to the car, and he had gotten hurt. One of the ladies that worked at the school had recommended that she use an attorney from Walterboro. And a couple of months had gone by, and I noticed that she was under a lot of stress. And as I talked to her, she said, "I just have to get all these documents. I don't understand." She spoke English, but it was very broken English. So she was having a difficult time explaining what she needed for the attorney. So I told her, I said, "I'm going to find you an attorney. I'll look around." I said, "And we'll go ahead and fire that attorney."
Yeah, what they about to do. So in case y'all don't know, this about to talk y'all up to how her friend got in it with Alex. That's where it coming from. When she got the law firm, it ended up being where Alex were working for. So that's what they about to get to.
You a new one. And because we didn't want the statute of limitations to run out on her case. So at that point, I started looking around, and I happened to walk into the law firm. And it was the old offices where I met Alex.
Just walked in, and that's where you met the defendant, Alex Murdaugh.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you were trying to assist this individual who was having trouble communicating with her prior attorney. Don't mention whoever that attorney was, but you helped her get a new attorney.
Yes, sir.
Did you help with that particular case with this friend?
Yes, sir. He told me he would take the case.
Who was he? Who's
Alex told me he would take the case as long as I translate it and help them with the details. Because he didn't have anybody in the office that was bilingual, and I agreed.
You were a hot commodity, weren't you? I mean, there was a need for translators.
Yes, sir.
So you helped with that case.
Yes, sir. I did.
Did you assist in other cases with
Yes, sir. I did. At times, Alec would call me and ask him if I could assist in translating, or when there were accidents and the folks were injured, and if they did not speak the English language, he would ask me to translate.
And were you getting paid for this service?
Yes, sir. It wasn't a set fee. It was just depending on the case, whatever I did, whether it was to get them signed up with a law firm, basically, or if I had any type of.
Sure do.
In the Hispanic community, when you are in trouble or you're in need of something, and a lot of times those accidents, when they happen in the area, they are not from here. The language barrier is a big thing for them. So my instinct was more to make sure that they were well accommodated and whatever they needed. So sometimes he would reimburse me for my out of pocket whenever I helped the individuals, who were in the accident.
And that went on for a period of time when you were assisting either Alex Murdaugh or the law firm. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did that change into a caregiver, if you will, or respectfully, I don't mean housekeeper or whatever term you'd like to call it, for Maggie Murdaugh?
Yes, sir. Alex had called me and said Maggie was looking for a person to help her in the home. And at that point, real estate wasn't really doing much for me. And so I couldn't find anybody. I had asked around. And at that point, I told him, I said, well, I'll help her. And he was like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, I'll help her. I said, it's no big deal to me. It's on work.
So why did Alice sound like to me, he didn't want too many people around him on the job, y'all. Now he about to put her in the house.
So I said that I would help her.
You were clearly qualified.
Yes, sir.
So what did you start doing for either the Murdaughs or Maggie Murdaugh?
I started helping the other ladies in the house with the cleaning, with running errands, running to the bank for her.
What?
Whatever she needed me to do.
When did that start, Ms. Block?
In 2007.
2007.
And were the two young children, or the two children, Paul and Buster Murdaugh, were they younger? Obviously, they were younger.
Yes, sir, they were young.
And would you have interaction with them and or Alex Murdaugh during this time period?
Yes, sir.
How often were you working for the Murdaughs?
At that point, it was maybe every other day, depending on how often she needed me.
And where was that? Where specifically were you working? Where was their house?
At the house on Holly Street in Hampton.
How long did that go on before you stopped? And tell them why you stopped.
I worked there with them on and off, like I said, not on and off, I shouldn't say that. Every 2 to 3 days, or it wasn't a daily thing at that point. Then I did go probably about maybe, I can't recall whether it was a few months later or a couple weeks later. There was an incident at the house, and somebody had tried to burn the house. So that's when I actually went and started helping her more full time, because she had to go through a lot of the damages and all that. I helped her document a lot of whatever damages were done from the.
So the wife liked to burn the house down, y'all. Now we about to act like something wrong with the wife now. Pay attention, y'all.
And stuff that was spilled all throughout the house by the individual.
And maybe I wasn't clear in my question. Did there come a point where you had some health issues?
Yes, sir. At one point, I suffered a stroke and I had to stop working and go through rehab for a while.
And what year was that? 17 and 18, maybe?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So prior to your stroke and you had to go to rehab, how long did you work for the Murdaughs?
It was a few years by then.
How long were you out after you had your stroke, Blanca?
maybe almost 4 years.
Did there come a point where you went back and started working with Alex, with the Murdaugh family?
Yes, sir.
And tell these folks when that was.
Shortly after the boating accident, I reached out to Alex and Maggie, and I told them if they needed anything that they could call on me. And at that point, Maggie.
People, if you're watching, the boating accident is with his son. His son was in a boating accident. Okay.
Said that she would like for me to.
Hold on, y'all. I'm sorry. Oh Lord, I hit the wrong thing. Did I hit the wrong thing? Hello, y'all. I did some. Yeah, this it. What did I do?
And how do you think?
Hold up, y'all. I hit the wrong thing. I got to go back.
I think it was close. I think so.
They're gonna have a rough road to hoe. Go.
He need to go back to sleep. He do.
And you washed all the clothes.
Yes, I did.
Did he have a certain place that he kept shorts versus long pants?
Yes, sir. When you walk in the master bedroom, when you
Hold up, I got to take it back, y'all, to the boating
the
incident.
bed-
Hold on, I can't skip. I mess up.
Correctional institution, Estill, South Carolina, where I stayed until she was busy doing other things. So she would send me to the bank to cash checks, to pay the people that she had working around the house. Yes, sir. The maintenance, that sort of thing, whatever she was doing around the house.
Where were they living, the Murdaugh family, at this point in 2019?
Both places,
Okay, tell the folks where both places.
Moselle and Hampton.
So you're working at both residences?
Yes, sir. Both.
Did there come a time where they moved exclusively for the primary residence to, where was their primary residence?
The primary residence was Holly Street, and once they sold the house, they moved straight into Moselle full time.
We hadn't heard much about Maggie, and I'm limited what I can say in a murder case, but did y'all get fairly close?
Yes, sir.
And when you had quit working for her and you had your stroke, did you ever see her during that time period when you weren't working for her?
Yes, sir. Maggie would, I would see her in town, and she would often signal me to pull over. So we just used to stop sometimes and just talk and see how things were going at the local CVS. Just to catch up and see how everybody was doing.
And prior, when you were working and after, would you, and I'm not asking you to say what, but y'all got close and would talk personal things?
Yes, sir.
I'd like for you to go back in your mind now and take this jury back to June 7th, 2021.
Yes, sir.
You were working there for the Murdaughs then?
Yes, sir.
That's a month.
Paul.
And what was your interaction with Paul that day?
Paul walked through the door, his usual self.
Paul is Paul, for those who watch it, Paul is their son, the youngest son.
I was walking out of the laundry room, coming into the kitchen, and Paul came in the front door, and he was holding a laundry
Yeah.
basket full of clothes. And as he was approaching me, he saw me, and he said, "What's up, Miss B?" And I just looked at him. I said, "Boy," I said, "if you got all them dirty clothes and you want me to take care of that," I said, "I'm getting ready to leave." He's like, "Oh, come on, Miss B. You can help me out." He said, "I need them for the weekend." I said, "Well, just pull a couple of them out, what you need, and I'll take care of it." And I ended up staying late to make sure that he had his clothing ready for the weekend.
So did you wash the clothes for the entire family? Was that part of your?
Yes, sir, I did.
Good. Look at Paul. Paul told her to say no, y'all. Look. He said, "Did you wash clothes for the entire family?" She said, "Yeah." Paul was saying no. Let me push it back a little bit. Look at Paul.
Much about Maggie. I'm limited what I can say in a murder case, but did y'all get fairly close?
Yes, sir.
And when you had quit working for her and you had your stroke, did you ever see her during that time period when you weren't working for her?
Yes, sir. Maggie would, I would see her in town, and she would often signal me to pull over. So we just used to stop sometimes and just talk and see how things were going at the local CVS. Just to catch up and see how everybody was doing.
And prior when you were working and after, would you, and I'm not asking you to say what, but y'all got close and would talk personal things?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you see him.
I'd like for you to go back in your mind now and take this jury back to June 7th, 2021.
Yes, sir.
You were working there for the Murdaughs then?
Yes, sir.
That's a Monday. We all know that, June 7th?
Yes, sir.
When had you worked prior to that? At the Moselle property for them?
Friday.
And at that point, had you seen, what family members did you see at Moselle on Friday, which would have been the June 4th of 2021? Do you remember?
Paul.
And what was your interaction with Paul that day?
Paul walked through the door, his usual self. I was walking out of the laundry room, coming into the kitchen, and Paul came in the front door, and he was holding a laundry basket full of clothes. And as he was approaching me, he saw me, and he said, "What's up, Miss B?" And I just looked at him. I said, "Boy," I said, "if you got all them dirty clothes and you want me to take care of that," I said, "I'm getting ready to leave." He's like, "Oh, come on, Miss B. You can help me out." He said, "I need them for the weekend." I said, "Well, just pull a couple of them out, what you need, and I'll take care of it." And I ended up staying late to make sure that he had his clothing ready for the weekend.
So did you wash the clothes for the entire family? Was that part of your?
Yes, sir, I did.
And did Paul leave that Friday?
Yeah, I saw him leave. I don't know whether he was actually gone for the weekend or if he was still.
Did you ever see him again?
No, sir.
Did you have regular hours in June of 2021 that you worked at Moselle for the Murdaugh family?
We weren't really set hours. Maggie was pretty. She was just easygoing. if I had stuff to do, if I had stuff to take care of.
So Maggie, his wife, she's easygoing. I'm listening to words. I'm paying attention to what each person come on the stand and say. So she was easy. She liked to burn the house down. She needed help. Okay, and she pay off good too.
Too keen on any specific hours. So, you know, if I had a doctor's appointment or if I had anything, she'd be like, okay, no, her main comment to me always was no worries.
No worries.
No worries.
Sweet lady.
Well, June 7th specifically, were you scheduled to work at Moselle?
Yes, sir.
Did you have contact with Miss Maggie Murdaugh sometime prior to getting to Moselle that morning?
Yes, sir.
And I think it's in evidence, but tell these folks what contact you had with her.
She texted me and asked me if I could stop at the grocery store on my way to Moselle because Alex wanted some Capri Suns.
Capri Sun.
Capri Suns.
Okay.
And she said apple, and I believe she said pineapple first, and then they changed. She came back with another text and said, no, he wants orange. I believe that's what he said.
What?
That's what the text said. I'm not.
And did you try to get some orange Capri Suns?
Yes.
Where'd you go?
I went to the Food Lion.
And were you successful in your search for
No,
orange Capri Suns?
No, sir.
Sure was Mark States 54, Sparker. Excuse me, Defendants 54 for the record.
Oh, I like her glasses.
Did you have any other text with Miss Maggie before you got to Moselle?
Yes, Maggie told me she had to go to a doctor's appointment, and she said that in the text, Maggie said, Alec wants me to come home. And she said, and in a phone conversation, she told me, she said, I left some food in the refrigerator. Is there any way that you can cook? Paul likes the way you cook. So she said, because I don't think I'll be back in time. So I said, yeah, sure. I said, I'll do it. So it was nothing. I finished what I was doing, and then I started cooking, making sure the meal was ready for when Paul and they arrived at home. Well, that afternoon. And we had another conversation on the phone where she told me, she said, Alec wants me to come home. And she kind of sounded like she didn't want to come home. Because she really liked being at Edisto. And they had a lot of work that was going on, and she was trying to make sure everything was ready for the 4th of July gathering that she was planning. So she was very detail orientated, so she wanted everything perfect. So she was she sounded like she was a little disappointed. And then she said, well.
So you ain't never heard. Now she said, he said pineapple the first time. Now I seen orange. I ain't never seen pineapple.
Alec asked Paul to come home too, because he's got to fix the mess up out there that that CB had done.
At CB Road?
Yes, sir. And he said Alec had told Paul to come and fix it because they were planning on having a hunt that weekend, so he wanted everything ready and good to go.
So he'd asked Maggie to come, and then he had asked Alex to come.
That's what Maggie.
Paul to come.
Paul. That's what Maggie told me over the phone.
And looking at Defendants 54, can you read that?
You know, this attorney right here, he good, but he not supposed to touch her. He shouldn't even put it. I know it does. I know he just shouldn't have touched her because he don't know her. I don't like for nobody to touch me the way he just did her.
Text.
He said, "Thank you. I'm waiting at doctor. Alex wants me to come home. I had to leave. Door open at Edisto, but trust Mexicans to shut and lock for me. His dad is back in the hospital. The last doctor claims not cancer, it's pneumonia." And then she's got some emojis. She said, "Alec is about to die. Hope he doesn't go down there to sleep. Needs to take care of himself as well."
And when she said, "I trust the Mexicans to leave the door open," that didn't.
He's still touching on her.
When she said, I guess my question is, you said you didn't think she wanted to.
You're standing in front of the jurors.
I apologize. When
Y'all see that? Y'all see that? They trying to tell him where to stand because you're not even supposed to touch them like that. He don't know nothing about that lady. He just touching on her. That's what that man trying to get him away. I ain't never seen no attorney do that.
you had just testified, you didn't think she
Still
wanted to come
touching.
home. Was work being done at Edisto?
I can't stand
Yes, sir.
it.
Okay. And did she like being at Edisto?
Yes, sir, she did.
And when would she stay at Edisto?
Any chance she had.
Okay. Where was a time of year that she liked being there more than other times?
Yes, sir. Come around spring, summer, she preferred to be in Edisto.
And I guess, was she at Edisto the night, Sunday night, do you know? Where was she Sunday night?
I'm not sure.
Unless she knows.
She can answer if she knows.
I'm not sure.
Were you on schedule June 7th time-wise? Were you running late? What time were you supposed to be there?
I didn't have a set time to be there.
After you and Maggie talked and texted, did you go to Moselle?
Yes, I did.
And when you got there, was Maggie there?
No, sir. She had just left.
Was Paul there?
No.
Was defendant Alex Murdaugh there?
Yes, he was.
Okay. When you walked in the house, was he up?
No, sir. He was in bed.
Was he there? Based on the time you spent there and your experience with the defendant Alex Murdaugh, was he a morning person?
No, sir.
No. How long were you there working before you saw Alex Murdaugh? That morning on June 7th of 21.
Probably a couple hours.
And can you tell these folks that there come a point that morning where he left the house? Alex Murdaugh, did he leave and go to work? Or
Yes,
where?
he did.
Okay. And can you tell them what he was wearing, Alex Murdaugh, best of your memory, when he left Moselle?
He had a pair of khaki pants, greenish, I call it seafoam color, polo shirt, and he put a sports coat, a blue sports coat over it. And he put his shoes on, which were usually right there next to a dresser that they had right there in the living room area. That's where his shoes used to go, right there. So he just used to kind of slide his shoes on his way out the door.
Do you remember
I know what
shoes
you're talking
he had on June 7th, 2021 when he left?
His regular work shoes, the brown. There was a pair of brown leather shoes.
Was it a long sleeve shirt or a short sleeve shirt he left on?
The polo's a short sleeve shirt.
And staying out of everybody's view, do you remember anything specifically about that shirt?
As he put his coat on, he was putting his shoes on and he was putting his coat on. And he was getting ready to walk out. He turned around and I said, Alec, I said, hold on a minute. I said, your collar's sticking up. So he turned around and I fixed his collar inside his jacket because one collar was sticking up.
So you actually helped, I'm sorry, but you helped move his shirt?
Yeah, yes, I did.
He just touching her.
And you said it was a long or short sleeve? I'm sorry.
That polo is a short sleeve.
And did it have buttons on part of it, or do you know?
Just from here to here.
And was it a blue blazer
It was,
put on top of it?
it was a dark color.
You put a tie on? He didn't have a tie with that on.
No,
I
sir.
just,
Oh, she got that close to Alex. She could have kissed
now
him.
Miss Maggie had asked you to fix dinner for the family. Did you do that?
I did.
Can you tell them what you made?
She called it steak burger, but it's cube steak and gravy, some white rice, and some green beans.
You're a good cook, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Did you see or talk to Maggie ever again after this text or this phone call?
Before I left Moselle, I texted her and I said, the dinner was on I believe I texted to the effect that I left dinner on the stove for them. And that I can't really remember the text, but I did text her and let her know that the dinner was ready and that I was leaving.
And you said one of her phrases she used is "no worries." Had she said that to you that day?
Yes.
When was that?
I can't remember.
You got a family of your own, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you, when you left Moselle, what did you do?
Pick up my son at school.
And your husband's working,
Yes,
law
sir.
enforcement?
Yes, sir.
And when you got home that night, did anybody call you that night?
No,
When did you hear about the murder at Moselle of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh?
the next morning when I was getting ready to go out there.
The next morning.
Yes, sir.
How did you hear?
Alex called me.
And what did he tell you? He didn't call. He called you the next morning.
He called me early the next morning.
And what did he say to you?
He sounded shaky on the phone. You could tell he was. His voice sounded really shaky. And he said, "B, they're gone. They're gone."
Mm.
And my initial thought was, did she go back to Edison? That thought didn't cross my mind that he meant that they were dead at that time.
You just didn't comprehend what
No,
was
sir,
going
I
on.
did not. So he told me again, he said, "No, B, they're dead." And at that point, I don't remember because I believe. I
Feel
got
like
the
she
phone,
military.
I got the phone. I don't remember after that.
You literally dropped the phone.
Yes,
That's strange because he just left this lady. And then he called her back later and said that his wife and son was gone. I wonder did he set them up? Something ain't right about this.
And did your husband get on the phone?
I don't remember. I don't remember. All I remember is when he said that they were dead. I dropped the phone. And I believe I said, "I'll be right over. I'll be right over."
Did he, the defendant Alex Murdaugh, tell you which way to go when you got to the house?
He said him and Buster were at Alameda. So I told him I was going to Alameda. You know, I wanted to make sure they were okay. And so I went from my house to Alameda. And then when I got ready to leave Almeda, he said, well, when you go to the house, go in the front because there's a lot of sled agents by the kennels. You can't go in that way. And he said, just try to straighten up the way Maggie liked everything, in the house. He said, you knew her the best. He said, you know how she likes stuff. So I did. I went to the house.
So you went to
I went into Moza from Almeda.
to start with.
Yes, I did, to check on my Buster and Alec.
To comfort him.
Yes, sir.
And at his request, you went to Moselle to start cleaning up and getting the house in order?
Yes, sir. He said there was going to be people probably stopping by and bringing food and stuff. He said, I just want the house to look the way Maggie would like for it to look. So I said, okay. I went to the house.
Did you have a usual way that you went in to Moselle, entrance wise?
From the house, if I was coming from my house, I would come in on I call it the Miley's side. So I would actually enter the property through the kennels. And if I was coming from Hampton or if I, in the other direction, then I would use the front entrance. But normally I use the kennel entrance coming from my house.
When you got to Moselle, we're now in the morning of June 8th, right? 2021.
Yes, sir.
Did you see anybody in the property before you got to the main house?
No, sir.
And when you got to the main house, take us right there. Like right now as you're walking in the house, what were your observations?
It was hard because I know she wasn't going to be coming back. And I didn't want to move. I didn't want to move her stuff. It was just a weird feeling going through when I unlocked the front door to get in.
Why he ain't let the detective go in there first?
Cool.
You really cared for her, didn't you?
I did.
What'd you do when you got inside?
When I got inside, I didn't turn on any lights. I didn't do anything. I walked through the front door and I went in the kitchen. And I was kind of, when I looked in the kitchen, I kind of just stopped in my tracks and I looked at the stove. And I was kind of, I don't know what the word is. When I looked and I noticed the stove, that there was no pots on the stove, it was kind of unusual because usually when they ate dinner the night before, the pots usually stayed on the stove. Very, very seldom would she put certain meals in the refrigerator. A lot of times it was just left.
So he put the food in the refrigerator. She didn't put the food in the refrigerator. Alex.
On the stove until the next day. And the pots were not in the sink and they were not on the stove. And then as I walked through, if you walk through the kitchen, like you're going to, from the kitchen, if you walk through the kitchen, if you go to the left, there's two freezer and a refrigerator, and the laundry room sat right there to the left. There's a back door to the back porch, and then there's the laundry room door. They're both right there. And as I turned to go to the laundry room, I noticed that her pajamas were in the middle of the doorway, right in the middle, laid neatly in the middle of the doorway going into the laundry room. It
Wow.
was her pajama pants, a pair of underwear, and her pajama top.
What?
Was that unusual?
That was very unusual.
Yeah. Sound
Because
unusual.
she wouldn't lay her clothes out like that, not in the middle of the door like that. It just didn't.
She
look
got a
right.
son. It don't seem right because she got a son now. Her son can see her personal items.
And you took care of the house.
Yes.
You took care of the clothes.
Yes.
And not to get too personal, but sometimes you can't help it. Were the underwear there with the pajamas unusual?
Yes.
Why?
She didn't wear underwear with her pajamas.
Wow. And so,
That's
whoa. So who did that? That's unusual.
No underclothes with the pajamas.
But that struck you as unusual. They were there with the pajamas.
Yes, sir, because the underwear appeared to be clean, not dirty. They still had like fold marks.
In the pots, and I may have just missed it. You said, where would the pots end up when you found them?
After I looked at the pajamas on the floor, the way that they were set, I turned around and I said, well, I wonder where the pots are. So I opened the refrigerator door, and the pots were sitting inside the refrigerator with lids on them. And I was like, who did this?
And if they put those pots in the refrigerator like that, they was gonna wait till the next day to eat. But his wife wouldn't have did that because she had this lady right here to make sure her food and stuff right. Why would they put the food in the refrigerator? Because they knew they weren't gonna come back to the house. That's what it sounded like. Y'all know how we do. We ain't coming back, so we'll put the food up.
I don't know at that point, but that was not normal for the whole pot to be sitting in the fridge.
See?
Did you make any other observations in the house, the bathroom, or anywhere else?
In the master bathroom was her clothes were sitting next to the tub. It was a small pile of clothes right there next to the tub. And by the shower, if you walk in the master bedroom, there's a big garden tub, spa type tub. And then right here is the shower, and there's a window. On the floor next to the shower was a slight puddle of water, a towel, and a pair of khaki pants.
Those his pants.
And then as I went to the left to see if there was anything else that was out, I looked in the closet, and in the closet was a white damp towel on the floor, and there was I'm pretty sure the t-shirt was white at one time, but they get kind of dingy after a few years. But that it appeared that a t-shirt had fallen off of a stack of t-shirts that were on top of the shelf right there in the closet.
That Alice doing that.
It was laying on the floor next to the towel.
When you took care of the home, was that? Tell us how the clothes were laid out. The shirts, the shorts, were you staying up on a shelf with shirts?
In the closet, there was a shelf. There was some shelves, smaller shelves right here. Then there was some more ones. Maggie used to keep her clothes on these. And then there was a shorter one, kind of like little box looking, Alex used to keep his clothes, his belts and stuff in that. And then on top, there was also an area where he kept t-shirts. They were folded and they were kept on the shelf.
But it seemed like he was in a hurry, in a rush. It seemed like if the towels were wet, he probably took a shower, snatched that shirt out and put that shirt on. Cause when the police came, he was clean looking.
You say t-shirts. I know what a t-shirt is, but I mean, were they t-shirts like I'm wearing right now, or were they t-shirts with pockets?
It was usually they would be t-shirts, like if they would go, like when you go to a restaurant and they have like the logo of those type of t-shirts. He had a big collection of those.
And would you put them on the shelf?
Yes, sir, I did.
Sure was. He
Yes,
staged that. Allegedly.
And you washed all the clothes?
Yes, I did.
Did he have a certain place that he kept shorts versus long pants?
Yes, sir. When you walk in the master bedroom, when you enter the master bedroom, the bed was right here. At the foot of the bed, you had a dresser here and a dresser here. The right dresser on the top drawers were usually his underwear, his socks. The next drawer was his t-shirts. On the bottom drawer were the pajama pants that he would wear or his shorts that he would wear to sleep in. In the left drawer, and one sits on this side of the door going into the bathroom, and the other one's right here. On the left dresser, he kept his white t-shirts that he would wear under when he wore a suit. He would wear, the t-shirts were in one of those drawers. And then the other two drawers were shorts, the dressier shorts, and then the not so dressier shorts. You know that.
So you testified a shirt looked like it had fallen when you saw it this morning?
Yes, sir.
June 8th, 2021, okay. Was it still clean?
Yes, sir.
Did you put it back?
Yes, sir.
My boss, Don Zelenka, just reminded me that the food that you cooked, did you look and see how much was eaten in the pots?
No, sir, I did not.
Now, you said there was a damp towel. Where was that?
In the closet, on the floor.
And I know what damp means, but when you touched it, did it feel?
It was damp.
What did you do?
Took it to the laundry room.
And you said there were some pants there.
Yes, sir, there's a pair of khakis by the shower.
And what'd you do with those?
Took them to the laundry room.
Did you wash them?
Yes, sir.
Can we go to the
Here we go.
Let's stand for a moment.
I know. I about to go make me some cappuccino, honey. Stand up, Alex. Just that man so tall. See. Oh wait, what y'all saying about this? What y'all saying about this right here? I should have got me some water. Let me run in there and get me some water right quick, y'all. I hope.
Please do not discuss the case.
Oh. Oh, wait.
Please do not discuss your testimony. We'll take about 10 minutes.
Wait. Alice doing a whole lot. He is. See, it's something about Alice, y'all. Somebody working with Alice. Somebody working with Alice. And he just sitting there like, he ain't worrying about me. He just, I don't know. I don't know, because she got she know the house. The towel wet, but when she said the towel wet, she acting like the towel ain't never been wet before. Well, it seemed like she said, I wonder why the towel was inside. She said by the tub. She said, work. I thought she said in the closet. Oops. Chappelle, did she say he looked so, yes. He was on them heavy drugs. He see that young girl. Let me ask you something. Did she say the towel was in the closet on the side of the tub? Did she say the towel was in the closet? That's what I want to know. Did she say the towel was on inside the closet? Or did she say it was in the tub? Now how he wiped that face? I don't know, Alice. Oh, she said in the closet. She said in the closet, Chevelle. If I ask you two questions, he just smiled and look at him. I wouldn't look at him. Yeah, see, she said the towel was in the closet. She said the towel was in the closet. That's strange, because why he put the towel in the closet? Usually when men get out the shower, they leave their towel in the it could have been somebody else working for him. Because usually when they get out they leave their towel in the bathroom. And her pajama was in a different place. They staged her pajamas. Boy, this gonna be a long case. Just gonna look. All right, y'all get back in that courtroom. Let's go. That's a big break. Let's go. Towel in the closet, pants by the tub. Now that's weird. See, now that's unusual. That's what the lady trying to say. You got the pants in the closet. You got the pants by the tub in the closet. Come on now, because you would have had it. He wouldn't have put it in the closet. He don't want her out in his closet. Because he knows she's going to be the one to clean. Somebody else in that house. Somebody else working with him. And they said they ain't had no insurance. Yes, they did. Everybody got insurance. I know them rich folks got some insurance. Where they used to be rich. Okay, y'all, come on. Y'all having too much fun. That's the juror. They talking about that case. The whole scene was staged by someone. Sure was. Should be. I want to know why Alex got his winnings, the women in position. Like you said, everything seems staged. He seemed like he got the paralegal stage. He didn't want that other lady close to him, but he wanted the maid, the foreign lady close to his wife. And the wife was doing some unusual thing. Was she on drugs? Was the son on drugs? Was somebody selling it, coming to the house? Something ain't right. And somebody who would think to put pots in the refrigerator? Women, we do. We put pots in the refrigerator with the top on it. Because whoever did it, they didn't want the food to spoil because they liked the maid cooking. So they had to be Alex. He put them pots in the refrigerator because he wanted something to eat later. Either the next day, he didn't want it to spoil because he liked what she cooked. Somebody. I wonder. I don't know. He got another son too, so I don't know. Something going on here. Yeah, everyone had a position. Dog, this is the longest break they ever had. Let me skip it. I don't like all this.
Choose again.
No, sir.
8th of 2021, in the morning hours when you came back over there, was that sheriff there?
No, sir.
Were these shoes that you called house slippers, were those there?
No, sir.
Wow.
Did you ever see those house shoes again?
Sure
No,
is.
sir.
And where did you usually keep them?
In the closet.
Did he have any other type shoes? Canvas or any kind of boat shoes?
He had a lot of shoes in the closet.
Do you remember any shoes that were canvas type shoes?
The boat shoes, like the Sperry.
Sperry shoes?
Yes, sir.
And do you remember those?
Yes, sir. They used to sit in the closet.
They used to sit in the closet. After June 7th of 2021, did you ever see the Sperry duck shoes again?
No, sir. I do not recall seeing them in the closet.
Never ever.
Wow. You know what? How often is she at the house? How often is she at the house? And do he allow her to go in his closet? Because she knows about his shoes.
Did you stay on and work for a period of time for Alex Murdaugh at the Moselle?
Yes, sir. I did.
And did your day-to-day functions change after June 7th as far as Moselle itself?
Yes, sir. They did.
Well, tell them how that happened and what the change was.
After Maggie and Paul were killed, Alec did not stay on the property. On the 10th, when I believe his father passed away, yes, I believe after the service that we had for him at the cemetery, Alec called and asked if my husband and I would stay on the property because him and Buster were not going to be able to stay there. So we agreed to take care of the property and maintain it while he said until he decides what he's going to do with it.
Golly.
Did in fact you and your husband start residing there for a period of time?
We did.
That's kind of weird there, y'all. Think about it. His wife, she was there. He hired her there to keep the wife. Maggie is deceased. Why is she still at the house? Now he want them to keep the house because him and the dog can't stay there. Come on, y'all. Come on now.
Were you paid for that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But do you mind telling them how much?
He would give me $1,500 a week to make sure that anything needed for the farm was taken.
$1,500 a week and he broke. He gave her $1,500 a week and y'all say he was broke. So did he give it to her in cash or checks?
Taken care of, and my husband and I would maintain cutting the grass on that property, which is a lot of grass out there, and it would take in excess of 2 days to cut.
Did you cut it?
Yes, sir. I would help my husband.
Exactly,
Were
Shapiro.
you also taking care of the dogs?
Yes, sir.
Tell these folks what were the dogs' names?
Grady and Bubba.
Grady and Bubba.
Yes, sir.
You fed them?
Yes, sir.
Took care of them?
Yes, sir.
Where is Bubba? What's today? Whatever today is, where is Bubba today?
He's with me.
So she got Bubba.
So you have Bubba in your home.
Yes, sir, I do.
Did Bubba have his own pen?
Yes, he did.
And I don't know if you've seen at some point, and I'll keep going to the video of, well, could we play that video, please, when we get to the video? Please. Was it? Oh, great, before we get there, and I'm sorry, I'm going back to this real quick. Is that the shirt he left for the office in that day?
No, sir.
Okay. Go ahead. Had you ever seen Bubba with an animal in his mouth?
Yes, sir.
All right, tell him about that, please.
When Bubba was running around, if I or anybody, if the chickens were running out of the coop, he would chase the chickens and he would just go after the chickens or the guineas, whatever was out there.
And would you ever catch him?
Yes, he would.
And how would the chicken get out of Bubba's mouth? And
You have to make several attempts to get the chicken out of his mouth, and at points he would growl at you. You tried to take his toy.
Bubba eating the chickens.
in your experience in being there, was it easier for a family member or somebody Bubba knew to get the chicken out?
If he's stubborn. Yes, sir.
Okay. But would it take a period of time to get the chicken out of Bubba's mouth?
Yes, it would.
Look at Alex, always writing.
In August of 2021,
Yes, sir.
did you have a conversation with Alex Murdaugh about a shirt?
Yes, I did.
And let's go back. Where did this take place?
At the little house.
All right.
That's right.
What do you mean, the little house?
After Paul and Maggie were killed, Alec was not staying at Moselle. My husband and I were, and he would often stay in different places. But all his clothes and toiletries and everything were placed in the house that sits between Mr. Johnny Parker and his brother Randy. There's a small 2-bedroom house right there, and that's where all his belongings at the time went.
And where is that located?
In Hampton.
Hampton. And who furnished this little house with clothes and toiletries and made sure stuff was there?
I did.
And who was Alex Murdaugh staying there with when he stayed there? if anybody?
He never stayed there. He would just go and get his clothing and eat whatever, if he would have a snack or something. He wasn't really eating.
During the month of August, do you remember him having a conversation with you about a shirt?
Yes, sir.
Girl,
Did you find that to be unusual?
Yes, sir.
Tell them what the conversation was and why you found it unusual. Please.
He walked in to the little house, and I was getting ready to leave, and he said, "B, I need to talk to you." And he said, "Come here, sit down." So I went into the living room. I sat down, and he was pacing back and forth in the living room. And he said, "I got a bad feeling." He said, "I got a bad feeling." He said, "Something's not right." And then he said, "Well, there's a video. There was a video that was out. I hadn't seen a video." And he said, "You remember the shirt I was wearing, that Vinnie Vine shirt?" That's what he said to me. And in my mind, I was saying, I don't remember Vinnie Vine's shirt. It was the polo shirt. But I didn't mention. He said, "Well, you know what? I was wearing that shirt." He said, in the that day. And still, I was just.
You know what? He mentioned the wrong shirt, y'all. He had on that kind of polo shirt. He didn't have on. He was, in other words, when he asked her about that shirt, he was trying to remember, use some reverse psychology, trying to remember which shirt he had on. Alice playing mind game.
I didn't say anything, but I was kind of thrown back because I don't remember that. I don't remember him wearing that shirt that day when he left. I know what shirt he was wearing because I fixed the collar, and the collar's a different material.
Y'all remember that? She fixed that collar on that shirt.
And I don't know what a Vinnie Vine shirt is. But when he left that day, was he wearing a Vinnie Vine shirt? Or was he wearing the collar you've described?
It was a polo shirt.
Wow.
Just using your common sense, that it appeared to you he was trying to tell you to say, "I was wearing the shirt."
I just said that, boy. I just said what that lawyer just said. He was trying to reverse that psychologist. See, did she remember what kind of shirt he had on, man? Look at him.
Sustained, that's the formal question.
How did you take that conversation?
I felt confused at first, and then I know what he was wearing the day he left the house, and I was basically confused. I didn't really know whether he was trying to get me to say that shirt, if I was to be asked that if that was a shirt.
I told y'all.
The day.
Ms. Blanco.
I don't know. Look at them. Alice playing games. What he doing talking to him? What they doing? I ain't never seen nobody do what he doing. I know they trying to build a case with Jesus.
455, 457 for ID only. Do you recognize these, and do they relate to your testimony without saying what they are?
Yes.
Okay. On September 4th of 2021, did you have a conversation with defendant Alex Murdaugh?
I did.
Okay. And what did he ask you to do?
He asked me to send him a photo of the insurance cards.
Do you know what day of the week that was?
Wait, hold up. Y'all remember just before it came on, they said they ain't have no insurance. Now he asking for the insurance card. And that's when I said they got to have some insurance. Wow.
And I'll go back here so you can talk. I'm sorry.
I don't remember the day. All I know was it's on my phone.
He asked you to send him a copy of his medical card.
Oh, it was on a Saturday morning because the next day was my daughter's birthday. That early that morning when he called me, he asked me when I sent him the picture of the plastic insurance card. He said, no, I need the cardboard one. Well, the cardboard one was in Maggie's purse. It wasn't in the area where I usually kept the cards in the cabinet. So I told him, I said, it's in Maggie's purse. He said, well, go ahead and get the cards and send me a picture of them. And I asked him if he was okay. And he said, well, I'm just getting some routine exams done. He said, and I need the number so I could go ahead.
Whoa, wait. At the Alex, bingo. You right, bingo. That is about that money, honey. But at first they said they ain't have no insurance. And then I saw somebody out there in that big old house ain't gonna have no insurance on themselves.
Go ahead and schedule these appointments. And it was a Saturday because I was thinking, where's he gonna go to get lab, appointments done on a Saturday. But I didn't say anything. I went and I took pictures and I sent him all the copies of the cards that I found.
We'd offer say 455, 457.
First of all, he consulted with me about this as he walked up to me a moment ago. I don't quite understand the relevance. Why him asking for, tell me. I'm sorry, if he would just consult with me for a moment, tell me what the relevance is, but he hadn't told me.
Your permission?
Y'all, stop for a minute. This attorney right here need to resign. This one right here, he need to resign. This one standing right here, who talking to the woman, he need to retire. He need to resign because he doing too much. That's what I had asked y'all. Why was he going over here and asking him something? He should have been talking to his people over here. He can be with Alice. We don't know. This man didn't even know what he was talking about.
Sorry, Your Honor, we sort of just talked surprise.
He need to stay off and over there and talk to his people.
Without objection.
Preserving our previously made objection.
Look, they don't want to talk to him.
What previous objection? What previous objection? You said reserving your previous objection.
I apologize. I'm just so used to saying that. I apologize. I had no previous made objection to this document concerning this issue. I apologize.
Did it without objection. There you are.
455. I'll stand right here, okay? Were you texting with Alex Murdaugh about sending these cards?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And that's the text, and is that his medical card you sent him a picture of?
One of the medical cards I sent him a picture of, yes.
Please listen to me carefully and don't go any farther than my answer ask, okay?
Yes, sir.
After this date, September 4th of 2021, did you and your husband quit living in Missouri?
We did.
A couple other questions, and I know everybody's glad I'm sitting down. In addition to cleaning the house, did you ever look at Maggie's Mercedes to try to clean it afterwards?
I did.
What,
Why?
if anything, did you find?
As I was cleaning the vehicle, removing her,
Wait, y'all, hold up now. Shapiro, just like you said, she know everything. Who told her to clean that car out? Why is she cleaning out the car? I ain't never seen no housekeeper do all this.
For at least a range of days.
You remember when that was?
That was about a week after.
Okay.
A week after.
After the murders. Do you remember when you cleaned her car?
I cleaned the car when they asked me to pick it up from the impound sheriff's department.
Okay.
And who asked you to pick it up?
Randy and his wife had dropped off Paul's truck and they were getting ready to leave to go out of town. So he asked if my husband and I could go pick up the Mercedes from the impound and bring it back to the house.
And did you clean it after that?
I did.
And what did you find, if anything?
Well, she still had paint for the Edisto house that she was trying to touch up some areas at the house, and she had.
You know what? That's what I'm thinking. That Shapiro, like you said, she had her hands in everything. That the Alex hired her to be involved and do everything, so therefore he'd have somebody do it instead of him doing it. Alex think he's sneaky.
Clothes that she was gonna return, and as I moved the seat to clean, to vacuum underneath the driver's side seat, I found her ring.
Her ring.
Her ring.
Why is her ring off her? Why is her ring off her finger? Her ring was under the seat.
Her wedding band.
Now, did Maggie, based on your time with her and experience, like being at Moselle by herself?
No.
And leading up to the murders, was she anxious about anything?
She had a conversation with me. A few months prior. I walked in the house and Maggie said, "Hey, Blanc," she said, "I got to talk to you. I got something to tell you." And so she said, "Let me make some coffee." And she went and made a pot of coffee. She made me a cup. She made herself a cup, and we went. She said, "Let's go talk." And we went into the hunting room, and she closed the door because Alec was sleeping in the bedroom, which is on the other side of the house, but she closed the door. When Maggie closed the door,
You're set.
Response.
Shapiro, you see how they be doing these cases? Once they already talk about she was already dead, now they going back into the scene. Now they going back. Now it looked like he would have took it from the car to somewhere else. Now we back in the house with the wife. Now the wife back alive now.
I think, was she anxious about money issues?
Your Honor, I object to.
Well, I know you objected, and
But he is.
I understand your objection. Well, I don't care what you're doing. There's an objection to the previous question. The objection is sustained. While entertaining the objection, you cannot pose another question. The objection is sustained.
I told you that lawyer right there, that attorney right there, he need to sit down. He need to sit, not the one over here, but this one right here who talking to her. He doing too much. He know what he doing too.
Yes, sir.
Why he standing up?
Your Honor, I hesitate, but this is a matter that needs to be put on the record.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have you go to the jury room. Please not discuss the case.
Look at him, y'all. They trying to tell the judge what to do, and the judge trying to tell y'all don't tell me what to do. See, she like to say something because she knows everything because she the one in the house. She's the one working for Alex. Alex, see, look at him. See, that old man right there need to retire. Them, they need to retire.
Yes, sir. If everyone will be seated. Yes.
I objected to a conversation. We're aware of that conversation, but I objected knowing where he was going, which was, and in that same interview, by the way, that she gave about a statement where Maggie said that she was concerned about money, she also indicated Maggie was never concerned about money. Either way, it's hearsay. He said, before Your Honor ruled, was she concerned about money or wasn't she concerned about money? He testified, which is to hearsay. I would move for mistrial. I think it's unduly prejudicial based on the last 3 weeks we've heard of financial misconduct on the part of the defendant. I would move for mistrial. I would move that it's not mistrial because I don't think, even if you give this jury an instruction, you can't unring the bell. You can't correct that. And now I've had to draw attention to it, even more so by objecting to it. He knew that was wrong.
Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That question, I don't have to say it.
We're not here about apologies. Go ahead.
And I can't help.
Yes, sir.
Judge, under 803, and what I should have brought to the court's attention first, 803.3, we think this would be admissible hearsay exception, then existing mental, emotional, or physical condition. The statement of the declarant's then existing state of mind, emotion, sensation, or physical condition. We think it fits under that rule. How she was, and that's all I was going to listen. That's it. I want to go. And hearsay was coming out a little bit there. A lot of hearsays come out in this trial. They wasn't objecting. It just was rolling. I wasn't trying to plan that far ahead. But I do think respectfully it comes in there. We'd like you to consider under 803.3, Judge. And that's what I should have said before I asked the question. Again, for the record, say I'm sorry.
803.3, the following are not excluded by the hearsay rule, even though the declarant is available as a witness. A statement of the declarant's then existing state of mind, emotion, sensation, or physical condition, such as intent, plan, motive, design, mental feelings, pain, and bodily health, but not including a statement of memory or belief to prove the fact remembered or believed, unless it relates to the execution, revocation, identification, or terms of the declarant's will. Mr. Harper?
Obviously, Your Honor, I think that's covered by 803.
Why not?
Well, because it's the declarant's. Maybe we need to ask her exactly what she said before we rule on it. The only testimony heard on that point is his.
A question, then an objection, then another question while the court was listening to your objection.
Yes.
So we'll have a proffer of this testimony and see where it's going.
Maggie Murdaugh, anything she expressed to you.
Yes, sir.
Please tell the judge what it was.
She was worried because a lawsuit had been presented stating that they wanted $30 million. Maggie was crying. Maggie said,
$30 million. $30 million. I see why they absent.
we don't have that kind of money, Blanca. And that's what she used to call me. She said, we don't have that. She said, if I could give them everything that I got and make this go away, she said, I would do it in a heartbeat. She said, I'll start over. We'll start over. She said, I just want it gone.
Wow.
At this moment, we're listening to a proffer. Go ahead.
Would that be instead of that long, would that be like money issues that she was worried about?
The money issues dealing with the lawsuit.
Wow.
That's all I was going on for. I asked for the money issues. I wasn't looking to even go in detail.
Y'all, they been sued $30 million. And like the wife said, y'all can have everything, the property, everything. I'll just start all over. So she was worrying about money. I don't remember the lady saying that she wasn't worrying about money. But yeah, she worrying about money. She worrying about them $30 million. I see what's wrong with Megan, the husband.
What she said there.
Yes, sir.
I don't quite understand how this fits into, first, what you've allowed in under 403, 404B, and raised jest time. Right. It is her perception that the lawsuit, for $30 million, putting financial stress on her. There's not any. She's not relating that Alex has any stress on him. He's the one on trial.
Yeah.
Her perception that the $30 million was concerning her. I mean, she's not accused. That is, Maggie Murdaugh is not the defendant here. There's no connecting it to the defendant. I don't understand not only is it hearsay, it's not relevant to the issues being litigated here. Her state of mind on finance.
Her state of mind, financially, that's the wife.
Actually, I don't know how that relates.
Anything further?
No, sir.
No. We've had testimony elicited by the defense throughout the trial, witnesses portraying the family as a loving and happy marriage. Question posed to Mr. Gibson, I believe it was, and to the other friend of Paul's and Buster's, as to whether the family was anxious or seemed to have any concerns or issues going on at the time. And I find that this testimony properly responds to that testimony, and the objection is overruled. Anything else?
I know that, right?
Let's take a 1 minute stretch before the jury.
Let me go get some more water too. Let me take me a stress break. Woo, let me go get some water, Lord. Lord have mercy. Golly. Woo. He screamed like that in the courtroom. I got to jump out. Yeah, I come, y'all. Let me get the Kool-Aid and take a break. Yeah, all kind of that. Going in the refrigerator. Yeah, I y'all. Yeah, Lee. Woo. All of y'all. Jesus. Okay. Here they come, y'all. Hey, take me a break. Whew. He shot in that court. He scared me. I'd like to drop my water.
Denying the objection, the motion for mistrial is also, that motion is denied. You bring the jury back.
Oh, yeah, she sure did. Yeah, but remember she said Maggie used to say all the time, no worries. So they trying to piggyback on that. Two different. She probably didn't want the lady to know. She probably said, no worry, don't worry, no worries. But she is weird. Woo, shit. Okay. They done. Paul just messed up everything. Look at him. Just don't mess up everything while you looking through them glasses. What they talking about? What's going on?
All right, thank you. The last objection is overruled, and you may proceed.
Ms. Simpson, in the days leading up to the murders of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh, based on your time with her, was Maggie Murdaugh anxious about anything?
She was concerned about the amount of money that they were requesting on that lawsuit. 30 million is what she told me.
You was marked 290.
Before the question, there's an objection. The court overruled the objection, and you want the witness to answer the question that you posed?
Yes, sir. I see it.
Well, you posed a separate question.
Yes, sir. And I thought she had answered. You said she was worried about 30 million. Can you explain that more?
Question. That there was an objection to. Do you withdraw the question that you posed prior to the court's ruling on the objection?
No, sir.
Or you forgot the question?
To the world, yes, sir.
All right. Proceed.
What was she anxious about?
She said she knew the amount of money that they were asking, but she felt that Alec was not being truthful to her with regard to what exactly was going on with that lawsuit. She said, he doesn't tell me everything.
Mm-hmm.
Was March 297. People entered as 297.
Excuse me a minute. What is this? I went back down. Oh, somebody must got one of them anxiety dogs in there.
Hey, he got burns now.
Oh, somebody got a medical problem.
There's a chicken. Come on, catch. Quick.
The cat.
Ms. Maka, had you seen that before?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I think maybe in prior statements or something that had you said, do you recognize voices on there?
Yes, sir.
Who do you recognize?
It's Paul, Maggie, Alec.
And if previously have you said in a memo or a memorandum in interviews that you thought you may have heard another voice?
Yes, sir, I did. At a distance.
But having listened to it again, have you listened to it this week? On TV?
I have. There's only 3 voices: Alec, Maggie, and Paul.
So after hearing it several times, is that your conclusion?
Yes, sir.
Just a few more questions.
Yes.
Would Miss Maggie Murdaugh, did she go down to the kennels at night by herself?
No, sir.
And you say that emphatically. What, you know that?
She was scared. It got dark out there.
So
But
would she
you
go
want-
down there by herself?
No,
Did she like to go down there when it wasn't dark?
she did.
And did she like playing with the dogs?
She always took the dogs with her.
Which dogs were hers?
Grady and Bubba were always with her.
So when she was at Edisto, where would Grady and Bubba be?
She would, sometimes she would take both of them, but the majority of the time, in the last few months, she was alternating. She would take one or not the other.
Can you tell us about the defendants? Did you ever see him with his cell phone? Alex Murdaugh, did you ever see him use his cell phone?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell the jury his habits with the cell phone? Would he have it a lot? Did he use it a lot?
Yes, sir, he did. He was always on his phone.
Say that again?
He was always on his phone.
Everybody say that. Sure is.
And Paul, were you familiar with his habits as regarding cell phones?
Not, the times that he was there at the house, he was always on his phone. If he'd go in the shower or whatever, he'd play his country music on the phone. But that's the extent that I know from what I observed being there in the house.
And when you were on June 8th, and you've talked about it, and I'm not trying to rehash that, but on June 8th of 2021, when you went to clean up the house, is that pretty much what you saw in the bathroom, the pants and the damp towel?
Yeah, so there was a rug right as you step out of the shower, and there was like a slight puddle of water, a towel, a white towel, and then a pair of khaki pants.
You didn't see any bloody clothes or anything like that?
No, sir.
I got a question. Do she know whether those was Paul's khaki or Alice's khakis? That's another question I need to ask. Was those Paul's khakis or was it Alice's khakis? I don't recall hearing him asking her that question.
That court's indulgence, just a few seconds, Judge. I did this, I'm sorry, Judge. Is the individual in states? Is that individual in the courtroom?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And would you please, is it Alex Murdaugh sitting between Mr. Harper?
Sitting right there. Yes, sir.
And the record is reflecting. Thank you, Judge. Have you ever seen that shirt again?
No, sir, not to my knowledge.
Have you ever seen these shoes again that he's wearing here?
You think she did? And what she sure did, because she said the water was in the one in the closet, right? Shapiel? She said it was a lot of water on the towel in the closet. She didn't say it on the outside of the tub. She mentioned the water when she said on the tower.
No, sir.
And the Sperry cloth, you said the Sperry shoes. Have you ever seen those again?
No, sir.
That's all. Thank you.
Recommendation.
Your Honor.
Whoa! Guess what? She said she have never seen those shoes. So if she ain't never seen those shoes, whose shoes are those? And then you have to think about the khakis. They didn't ask her did the khakis belongs to the son or either Alex. So, but the shoes, they didn't never recognize those shoes. So it could have been somebody else in there with him. Yeah, she said that damn towel was in the closet, but not that porter on the floor. But them shoes is very important because she ain't never seen them shoes before. So whose shoes are they? Here he come.
Man, my name's Dick Harpuglia, and I represent the man you know as Alex, right?
Yes, sir, I met you before.
I don't think we've ever met before, have we?
Yes, we.
We've met?
Yes, sir, at the house.
Did you hear that? He said, now I know I'm representing the man that you know. And then she said yes, and he said, well, I'm so. Then she said, yeah, I met you. And then he said, then he repeated himself again, said, I'm so. Did you we never met before? She said, yes, I met you at the house. She made him look like a zombie.
Oh, at Maggie's funeral, yes. I apologize.
Oh,
A lot of people there that day.
Yes, sir.
Alex has always
wait,
referred
stop,
to you
y'all.
when
I
people
gotta
ask.
let y'all hear that again. I gotta let y'all hear what he did, how she busts his bubbles. I like her. She telling on them.
2021, when you went to clean up the house.
Wait,
is
let me
that
go
pretty
back.
much what
Let
you
me
saw
go
in the
back.
bathroom? The pan?
Funeral, yes.
A few seconds, Judge.
She busts his bubble. Oh yeah, I met you. He said, oh, you met me? She said, yeah, at the house. This case a trip.
If I did this, I'm sorry, Judge. Is the individual in states? Is that individual in the courtroom?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And would you please, is it Alex Murdaugh sitting between Mr. Harper?
Sitting right there. Yes, sir.
And the record is reflecting. Thank you, Judge. Have you ever seen that shirt again?
No, sir, not to my knowledge.
Have you ever seen these shoes again that he's wearing here?
No, sir.
And the Sperry cloth, you said the Sperry shoes. Have you ever seen those again?
No, sir.
That's all. Thank you.
She ain't never seen them shoes before. That's the key.
Man, my name's Dick Harpuglia, and I represent the man you know as Alex, right?
Yes, sir, I met you before.
I don't think we've ever met before, have we?
Yes, we.
We've met?
Yes, sir, at the house. Maggie's funeral.
Oh, at Maggie's funeral, yes. I apologize. A lot of people there that day.
Yes, sir.
Alex has always referred to you when people ask who you are as his friend, correct?
That is correct.
Never called you his housekeeper, right?
That is correct.
He always, when he introduced you as his friend.
That is correct.
Now, you've also, I think in multiple interviews with Sweat and other folks described, I think the words were, Maggie was his all.
Isn't that what you told us, Lex?
Yes, sir.
What does that mean, Maggie was a doll?
He adored her. He loved her. He adored her.
Worshipped her. I mean, just treated her as somebody he adored, correct?
Exactly. Yes, sir.
Now, I think they also asked you if you ever saw them have any arguments. And
No, I did not ask that. Objection.
You restate the question, please.
Sweat asked you if you've ever seen them have any arguments. I don't quite understand the basic objection.
Restate the question. You may respond.
What was the question again, sir?
Did you ever see them have any arguments?
I never saw them have arguments. It was just minor disagreement because of the remodeling.
And I think you cite specifically, when you said they had arguments, it was about the paint colors, for instance.
One of them was Maggie was set on getting a certain white, and Alec was saying just get whatever white, basically.
It's not an argument.
She wanted a specific white, and he just didn't care.
But you never saw them have any violent arguments or argue about money or argue about relationships. It was all the minor things that most couples go through, picking paint colors and those kinds of things. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. To some, they would disagree on. It wasn't that they disagreed. The only thing that I remember Maggie saying was that she just wanted him to sit still and listen to her for at least 10 minutes at a time because he was always on the go.
An uncommon complaint between husbands and wives or wives to husbands?
No.
Just listen to me. Is that right?
She would get frustrated because of that.
Do you ever tell your husband that? Just listen to me. Sit, please.
All the time.
Okay. So let me talk a little bit about the morning of the 7th.
Yes, sir.
And then the morning of the 8th, because I understand you left before Paul, Maggie, or Alec was on the Moselle property on the 7th, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We're going to talk about those texts in just a minute between you and Maggie, but you fixed some dinner for them.
I did.
And did you set a table, or did they have to go get their own plates and put them out?
No, I left the food on the stove.
Right. And normally the next day, the pots would still be on the stove, right?
Yes, sir.
Would they clean up their plates or leave those in the sink, or how would that go?
Sometimes the plates would be in the living room. There was no plates in the living room. They were in the sink.
Okay, but when you got there on the morning of the 8th.
The plates were in the sink. They were not in the living room.
Okay, now, are you aware of how many people were in there, how many friends, law partners, his sister, who was in the Moselle house on the night of the 7th?
No, sir.
Okay, if I told you there were 12 to 15 of them, would that surprise you? I mean, Maggie and Paul just killed. Was he very close with his law partners?
Yes, sir.
Okay, his sister, Lynn, do you know Lynn?
I met her at Maggie's, when Maggie passed.
Okay. And would it surprise you to know that the,
Your Honor, I'm going to object.
if you ask her if she knows, Your Honor.
Well, the objection is sustained. You cannot testify.
I'll make it more general than this. Do you know if anyone that evening of those people moved the food from the stovetop to the refrigerator?
I don't know.
Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about the room, the bedroom, and well, let me ask you this. Let's back off just a little bit. You drove over from his mother and father's house, correct?
That is correct.
That morning, the 8th, to Moselle, right?
Yes, sir.
And instead of coming your normal way, which would have been the entrance by the kennels, where there, did you see all the police down there?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay. You drove up to the main entrance that would go straight up to the house, or if you took a right on that road, you'd end up back down at the kennels, right?
Yes, sir.
And you came up that, were there police around the house up there?
Not around the house.
Did anyone, was there anybody in the house other than you?
No, sir.
So did you find it strange that this was a crime scene?
Need to hear the question.
So the question would be, did you find it strange there was no law enforcement present at the house that morning?
Question.
Go ahead.
It wasn't strange because there was law enforcement all over on the kennel side. It wasn't strange that they allowed me to go into the house.
Let me ask you this, did anybody from SLED show up while you were there that morning?
I believe there was an officer. I do not recall the officers.
Do you remember somebody coming in to search the house while you were there?
There were several agents that came through.
Right, but you'd been there for a while before they got there?
Yes, sir.
Did they ask you about clothes you'd found, or did they ask you about anything that you found out of the ordinary, anything like that?
I didn't ask any questions. They didn't ask me. They just went about doing what they were doing.
And were they going from room to room? Were they looking for things under the bed? Do you remember?
It appeared that that's what they were doing, sir.
Okay, but that was after you got there and picked up the bathroom, picked up the towel.
No, sir. I hadn't picked up anything at that point because I was still in shock and I was still trying to process what had just happened to my friend.
So they would have seen the khaki pants on the floor.
Objection.
Did they go into the bathroom?
I couldn't tell you, sir. The laundry room sits on the other side of the house, and I had to take some time to process what had happened to Maggie and Paul. I didn't.
No, that's not what he asking you. He's saying about the time of your arrival, have detected what? In other words, have they already did the investigation at the house? That's what he's asking her, and she keep avoiding the question.
I know I saw agents that went upstairs to Paul's room. I saw them walking through the house, sir, but I don't know what they took, what they didn't took. All I can tell you is what I saw when I got there.
Okay. While they're there or after they left, is that when you went into the bathroom and saw the khaki pants, somebody taking a shower, there was a towel on the floor, khaki pants on the floor? Was that before or after they left?
Yeah.
Yeah, after.
Okay. So
she don't know. She don't know. She don't know. She just said she didn't know. She don't know. Have they been in there? She don't know what's before or after. She shouldn't have answered that question because she had just said that she didn't know, but now she gonna say after. They got the white pole thing.
They would have been there for those folks to see, as far as you know.
Yes, sir.
Now, let me ask you a couple of things and about what you saw. They keep showing you this picture by the tree of Alex, and he appears to have on a khaki pair of pants in that picture, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I mean, I'm sure he had a number of different pairs of khaki pants, but were those khaki pants similar to the ones he has on in the picture? Could they be the same ones?
They could be, but he had several.
Right. And in terms of somebody had taken a shower, it looked like there was water on the floor.
Yes, sir.
Now, did Alex take a number of showers every day? Was he a prolific shower taker?
Not that I'm aware. He would get up in the morning, take a shower, and go to work.
But did he take showers other times during the day?
I wasn't there in the evening hours, so I don't know.
Okay. So, but it wasn't unusual for when you got there to find a towel on the floor and water on the floor from him having taken.
That wasn't unusual. No.
Okay. And I think that when you were asked about a shirt, and we can pull this if you want to go back to, whether there was a shirt there also, you said you couldn't remember. Is that correct?
With regard to?
Whether there was a shirt with the khakis on the floor. You said, I couldn't remember.
I could not remember whether there was a shirt with a khaki pants. All I remember is a white damp towel sitting there.
Okay, and the khaki pants.
Yes, sir.
But you don't remember whether, and I think you told the grand jury, I don't remember whether it was a shirt or wasn't a shirt, correct?
That is correct.
And that's today. You can't tell this jury there wasn't a shirt on the floor You just can't, you can tell them you don't remember, correct?
What was your question?
You can't tell this jury there wasn't a shirt on the floor because you can't remember whether there was a shirt on the floor or not. Isn't that what you told the grand jury?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we know there's a pair of khaki pants. There may have been a shirt. And those shoes, well, let me ask you this. You know, on the night of the 7th,
Yes, sir.
Alec had left, correct? He wasn't there when you got there the next morning.
No, sir, he wasn't there.
Okay. As a matter of fact, he never spent another night at Moselle that
No,
you
sir,
know.
he did not.
She knows, Your Honor.
You can answer if you know whether or not he's ever spent another night.
After the murders, did he ever spend another night at Moselle, to your knowledge?
He did not.
So when he left that night, on the night of the 7th, and went to his mother and father's house, you don't know what clothes he took with him, what shoes he was wearing? You have no idea. Swed had confiscated the clothes he had on?
At that moment, I didn't.
Who you are now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
A white t-shirt, pair of shorts that he showed you, and whatever shoes he had on, sneakers, right?
I didn't see the sneakers, but I saw the clothing items.
Okay. And so he had to put on, if they did that, other clothes to go over to his mother's house, correct?
Objection.
Would it stand to reason he'd have to put on other clothes to go in his underwear?
I would assume so, yes.
Okay. Do you know what he wore over to his mother's house?
No, sir.
Do you know whether he wore those shoes?
No, sir.
You don't know. So
On
when,
objection to. Objection.
Basis for the objection.
I
To
don't
which
know-
question?
To that last one, shoes, I don't know what specificity, he says to those shoes, I don't know what he's.
I'm sorry, the shoes that you say you saw in the Snapchat photo, you say you never saw again,
That
right?
is correct.
Okay, you don't know whether he wore those shoes the night of the 7th over to his mama's house, do you?
I don't know that. I wasn't
Okay.
there.
You don't know what he wore over there, correct?
That's correct. I wasn't there.
He may have even worn that shirt that you said you never saw again, correct?
Objection.
Objection's overruled.
Right?
Correct?
Okay. Now, if somebody alleged that those khaki pants was at what Alex was wearing the night of
I'm
the,
gonna object.
I need to hear the question.
I can't finish the question, I'm sorry, Your Honor. Let me state this. If somebody were to say that Alec Murdaugh, as ridiculous as it sounds, was wearing those khaki pants when he,
Objection.
Objection sustained.
let me put it this way. Did you see any blood on those khaki pants?
No, sir.
You washed them, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you put anything on them to get blood stains out? I mean, would there be,
Are you saying that I removed bloodstains off of khaki pants?
I'm asking you rhetorically. I'm asking you, did you see any blood stains?
There appeared to be no bloodstains on
Okay,
those pants.
okay. And in the bathroom, did you see any bloody footprints?
I did not.
Did you see any blood on that towel?
No, sir.
Did you see anything indicating to you there'd been anybody wearing bloody shoes or washing blood off, or anything that would indicate that somebody after a murder had gone back to that room, changed clothes, covered in blood, took a shower and changed
Objection.
clothes? Did you see anything that would indicate that?
Objection's overruled.
Go ahead.
This is the first time that I have ever been in a situation where somebody was murdered.
Right.
I didn't know, as far as what you're asking me, if there was anything bloody in there. No, it did not appear to be anything bloody in there.
Did you clean the shower that day?
Yes, sir, I rinsed it off.
You rinsed it off. Nobody told you not to rinse off the shower?
No, sir.
Okay.
Wow.
Again, nobody from SWED, as that group went through, asked you, did you see?
Well,
bloody
he is making sense now. Y'all had investigators come through the house. Why did they let her go in that bathroom? Why did they let her go in that? Why did they let her watch them clothes? Why did they let that lady go through that? What's going on with this case? Everybody putting their hand on everything.
Footprints. Did you see any evidence that there was anything bloody in that bathroom? Did anybody ask you that?
No, sir.
And your testimony is those khaki pants were there after Sweat left.
Yes, sir.
And maybe even a shirt you can't remember.
Yes, sir. Possibly a t-shirt, but I did not see it. I don't remember.
Okay, you don't remember what kind of shirt, if there was a shirt.
Not objection.
The objection is overruled.
Thank you. Do you remember, I'm doing like Mr. Meadows now, I forgot the question. But let me see if I can get this back on track. These interruptions are getting me a little skewed.
Well, that's the way it is. You need to retire.
So, I think you've already asked and answered that.
How he gonna forget what he asked?
Now, let's talk a little bit about, let me talk a little bit about the cell phone service in Moselle. You had a cell phone?
Yes, sir.
And the servicer was who? What was it, Verizon? Or do you know?
The cell phone carrier is Verizon, yes, sir.
Okay. And so, did you ever have any trouble getting a signal anywhere on the Moselle property? Up at the house, down at the dog kennels? Was it sporadic?
Yes, sir, it was.
Okay. And sometimes you'd be talking to somebody and they'd drop off, and the call would end, not because you ended it, because the service was bad.
Yes, sir. You were moving around in the house, certain areas, you could not get a signal.
What about down from the kennels?
It was touch and go in the kennels. You really, once you got signal, you better stay where you were at, because if you moved, you were gonna lose your signal.
Okay. So it would not be unusual at the kennels, if you did move, that if you were having a conversation or getting text or trying to answer a text, you wouldn't be able to do so.
Like I said, it depends on where you kind of knew the areas. At least for me, I already knew that if I had to make a call or send a text, I would walk out the kitchen door straight to the edge of the corner right there on the porch and make my call and not move. If not, I would lose the call,
right.
or I would not be able to make my call.
What about at the kennels?
At the kennels, like I said, it depends on the area where you were at. And once, basically everybody, we all kind of knew that if you moved out of a certain area and went to another, you were gonna lose signal.
Okay. Now, at the kennel, do you know what area you could get a call? Keep that. I mean, was there? You just talked about up at the house. There was a sweet spot, if you'll.
Yes, sir.
Pardon my language. Was there a sweet spot down at the kennel, or do you know?
I'm not sure at the kennels, but I do remember Mr. CB saying that the signal out there was horrible for making calls or getting calls.
So how you know where to stand at? How does she know where to stand at if she never used her phone out there? Yeah, but he was always on the phone. She got to listen to what she's saying.
For sending text or getting text.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Now, let me talk to you a little bit about this conversation in August of 21, after the murders.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Alec came over and was inquiring of you what shirt he had on that day, correct?
It didn't feel like he was inquiring. It felt more like he was trying to convince me of the shirt that he was wearing.
Did he tell you that he just finished?
Objection.
Sorry, I'm just asking if he told you something.
Objection.
Cross-examination.
Not objecting to hearsay for the record.
I need to hear the question. Number one. Number two is cross-examination. Go ahead.
Did he tell you that he just finished?
Objection.
Meeting? Do you want me to pose the question, Your Honor, or not?
All right. I'm going to send the jury to the jury room.
Because see,
Please not discuss the case.
see, if he gonna say, if that attorney gonna say what Alex said, then he's not supposed to do that. He's not supposed to say what Alex said. He's not supposed to do that. Cause if he said what Alex said, then he gonna make it. She can. The case is about Alex, so he can't say what he said. They a mess, boy.
Okay, what is the question?
Just wait 1 second, Your Honor. Let me see if I can get back on track. When you were talking with him in the little house in August, as we were talking about a moment ago, and he was talking about the shirt, did he tell you that he had just been interviewed by Swed, who'd shown him the Snapchat photo, and he was attempting to figure out what he was wearing that day? I mean, it's in a photo. Did he tell you that?
So, what's the specific question?
Did he, when he asked you the question about the shirt, did he tell you he just come from being interviewed by Swed?
No, sir, he didn't tell me that.
What is the objection?
Your Honor, it's respect this hearsay statement, this hearsay, that if he wants to do that, he can take the stand and do it. He's trying to offer the defendant's statement without him taking the stand.
That's right.
It's offered for the truth of the matter asserted.
That's right.
All right, any response?
My response is, if you can't ask witnesses about what the defendant said to them, they're going to have a rough road to hoe going forward, because it's a statement by the party opponent, if you will. I think they argued earlier on.
You can't do that.
It's not hearsay. There's an
It
exception to
is.
hearsay by a statement by one of the parties. It's ours.
Statement by the party opponent, being a statement by the party opponent, the defendant.
Mr. Murdaugh's statement to this woman.
You can't say that.
This matters. I've been doing this 35 years. He's on trial.
We know that.
But I'm just saying it's not a party opponent. He's trying to get in a statement from the defendant. Statements against interest, that the state, there is a difference between the state asking what the defendant said and the defense. And if they hadn't objected to some, they thought that's their prerogative, but they're trying to offer the defendant's statement in evidence without him taking the stand.
Yeah.
I respectfully think that's objectable as hearsay. He's the defendant on trial. They're offering it for the self-serving hearsay. They're offering it for the truth of the matter asserted. And I respectfully think that he's got to take the stand and get that information in.
And Your Honor, maybe I'll make this simple. What would your answer to that question be? Did he tell you about talking to Swed that day?
No, sir, he did not.
Two allows us to ask the question and not the defense.
I don't understand what the self-serving, she didn't say. He didn't say.
Your Honor, he could get his whole case through witnesses and he wouldn't have to take the stand.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And that's not
You've got a
appropriate.
Fifth Amendment right
No, sir.
to not take the stand.
That's right, but you can't.
I think Brent will let you all debate the issue between the two.
I apologize,
I'll
Your
rule
Honor.
when I get that.
All right.
Yeah, he can't do what he doing. He needs to sit down. He can't do that. Man, I know that judge can't wait till this over. You can't do that. He's saying, when he said he's speaking to Alex. Let me skip it a little bit. They get him in there. Oh, they still on break. They on break that long? Hold on, man. Okay, it's skip. Hold on, y'all. Now they taking them off.
The jury.
State's ready, Your Honor.
You're crazy.
Bring the jury.
So you need to back down. They got another lady up there now, y'all. Here she comes. Let's see what she gonna say. She just bending over with that little short dress on. Look at her. With the black on right there. Know that dress short. She don't need to be bending over. These young girls a mess.
Do it most.
What Pop's back there doing? He about to go look for his wife. She been gone too long. Like, where my wife at? She ain't came back yet. Look at him back there, real standing up.
Very good. Welcome back. Your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I please report? State calls Belinda Rass.
Oh, they got different prosecutor asking different witness something. Girl, you funny.
Raise your right hand, left hand on the Bible. Do you affirm the testimony you're about to give before in this trial shall be the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Take a seat at the witness stand, please.
This the last witness, y'all. They about to go off. Shoot, Grandma about to tell y'all the truth.
Your name again for the record, spell your last name.
Belinda Rass. R-A-S-T.
Belinda, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Before we begin, Belinda, are you hard of hearing?
I am.
I figured it.
So is it important for you that you can read what I'm saying in order to better understand the question?
Correct.
Okay. If at any time I say something and I've turned my attention away, just please let us know and I'll re-ask the question, okay?
Okay.
All right, Belinda, tell the jury a little bit about yourself. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? And what was your professional training?
I grew up in Barnville. I went to school out there in Barnville and Hampton, Wade Hampton High School. And I'm a CNA. I worked in the hospital and home health.
All right, CNA is a certified nursing assistant.
That's correct.
So did you work in nursing before moving into private home health?
I did.
Okay. And are you now employed as a private home care, like health provider?
I'm private home care healer.
Okay. And Belinda, I'm going to ask you to put that microphone as close to you as you can. You might have to move it a little bit. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, great. All right. Well, tell us a little bit about what private home care would be.
When you work with one individual or two in a home that's not, like in a hospital or a nursing home, and you take care of that one individual or two at most, and you do their care, whatever it might be. Like when I started at the Murdaughs, Miss Libby was up and about. We just had to watch her, make sure she didn't wander away. She could go to the bathroom. She knew where she had to go, but you had to make sure she cleaned herself and just make sure she eat and stuff. And then with her, it just, her health deteriorated. Her illness got worse. And so she went from that to now she's bedridden and we have to feed her, turn her, change her, whatever.
Oh, she was in bad shape, y'all. She was really sick. She ain't even got no business out there in the kennel with the dogs. If she that bad off.
She doesn't know when she's going to the bathroom or whatever, so we have to monitor her real close.
And I know we skipped ahead, but who do you currently provide home health care to?
Miss Libby Murdaugh.
And how long have you been providing that?
A little over 4 years.
And I think you just said it began as kind of one job, and has it evolved over time into being a more significant job?
That's correct.
Belinda, are you nervous being here today?
I am.
Would you Would you say that you've become fairly close to Miss Libby over these years?
I have. She is, to me, she's family. She's like my family away from home.
So you care about her?
I do.
All right. Well, Ms. Rask, tell me about what your typical hourly shift is.
From 8 p.m. to 8 a.m.
And do you occasionally work weekends?
I work every other weekend.
And what would your hours be on the weekends?
From 7 p. to 8 a.m. in the morning, or 9.
So for weekdays, it's typically 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. Is that correct?
Correct.
And how long have you been working there again at Alameda?
4 months. 4 years.
Well, I've already been there for 1. This year will be my 5th year.
Were you employed during the year 2021, June of 2021?
I was.
All right. On, do you remember the day, June 7th of 2021?
June 7th.
June 7th.
That's the that day. Yeah. That was the day I was called and told to come to the house that they wanted to tell me something.
Were you supposed to work that day? Were you scheduled to work that day?
I was.
All right. What happened? Why were you not on duty that day?
Well, one of the other employees wanted to be off, and I switched with her. Michelle. She had some plans with her friend, and she wanted to be off, and she asked me would I trade with her, and I told her yeah, I would do that.
And of all the nurses that work with Miss Libby, is that fairly common? If someone has a conflict, you can call them to try to arrange some sort of change in schedule? All right, so you were off on June 7th, but you would have been working what hours?
If I had been there, I would have been working. At that time, we were working that was on a Saturday, I think, or Sunday. We were working from 3 p. until 3 in the afternoon until 9 the next morning.
Did you know Maggie Murdaugh?
Briefly, I didn't. I met her. I had seen her several times at the Murdaugh house, but personally know her, no.
Did you get to know Paul Murdaugh?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And how did you get to know him?
Well, he came to see his grandparents, Mr. Randolph and Miss Libby.
Did he come more often than perhaps others?
Yes, he did.
All right, well, tell us a little bit about him.
Well, he was always very polite. He always offered to help do things for Randolph and Miss Libby. He would Miss Libby liked ice cream, so he would always say, Miss M, Grandma M, because that's what they call her. Would you like me to get you some ice cream? And she would usually say yeah, because that was her thing. And he would get it for her, and he would tease her about it. But he always give it to her.
So he came around a little more than perhaps any of the other
grandchildren.
Yes. Did you get to know Mr. Alex Murdaugh?
I do.
Is he here today? Is he here today?
Yes, he is. Right there.
In the blue jacket?
The blue jacket, blue shirt.
Thank you.
He over there trying like he got some issues.
On your shift, from the normal shift, 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., how often would you say Mr. Alex stopped by in those years that you've been there?
Not very often, not during that time period. 6 or 7 times, maybe.
In the 5 years you've been there, the 6 or 7 times?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned Mr. Randolph. Who was he again?
He was Miss Libby's husband.
Did you take care of him? Was he a client of yours?
Well, he was not my patient, but I helped him. I assisted him when he needed help.
Was there a point in time when his health became fairly poor and that you decided he needed some help?
Yes, it was.
And if you were there, would you provide that assistance to him, whatever he needed?
I did.
All right. So was there ever a time when Mr. Mr. Randolph, do you know when he passed away?
Yeah, on June the 10th.
So a short. after before he passed, was there ever a time when the defendant came over later at night?
He was called, not late at night. Well, yes, it was. It was on the 6th, I think it was, the night before Maggie and Paul. I was there that night, and he and Miss Maggie came. They brought donuts.
Mm.
Well, they were Krispy Kreme, and you couldn't get them at the time in our area.
Randolph liked Krispy Kreme.
Yes, he did.
All right. Was Mr. Randolph, was he awake though when they came there?
No, he was not.
And did he ever actually see Alex and Maggie?
Not to my knowledge. Alex did go to the room and look in at him, but he was asleep, and they chose not to wake him. I told them they could, but they said, no, let him sleep if you can.
And how did he react when he got up and you told him that they visited?
He was, he said, they came tonight? And I said, yes, sir. And he said, that's strange. I said, well, you asked for these donuts, and Miss Maggie brought these donuts to you. And he says, well, is there a raspberry one? And I said, yeah. And I got it for him. And he ate a little bit of it, and he said, I just can't eat the rest.
So he thought it was strange that they came that time of night?
Yeah, he was surprised.
Was there anything that, I know Mr. Randolph was very sick, but was there anything that was
the last time I spoke to him, which was the day before he died.
And tell us a little bit in your experience with treating Alzheimer's patients, people with declining dementia. Tell us a little bit about your experiences with them and how they maybe at night, how they rest, and what your treating them involves.
Anytime sometimes they're fine with whatever goes on around them, they just ignore it, or they speak out in the beginning and say what they want to say. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it don't. As it progresses, they get more like a baby. You know, if you wake them, sometimes they'll go back to sleep, sometimes they cry. It takes time to calm them and, just guess, because you really don't know. Like a baby, you don't know what's wrong. They might be hungry, they might want something to drink, they might just want to be turned. Whatever the situation is, you just have to guess and keep trying until you get it right.
And what time do you put Miss Slippy in bed?
Generally at 8 o'clock. But now she don't get out of bed. She has a total care. She stays in bed. We give her night medication at 8 o'clock, which helps her to rest, along with other medications she has to have.
If Miss Libby does go to sleep, what would you prefer as her provider, healthcare provider?
To let her sleep, but if a family comes by and they say they want to wake her, I don't object. I let them wake her.
Thank you for its indulgence.
Yes, sir.
My name's Dick Harpootlian. Can you read my lips? Dick
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And I represent Alex. Okay. Now, let me just focus in on, I guess, the reason you're being called here today. You were asked by the state, was it strange for them to show up that Sunday night at late?
It was unusual.
That was the word you used, not strange. And that's the word you used in your statement you gave about 10 days after the murders to Sweat. Isn't that right?
That's correct.
Did you know they'd been to a ball game in Columbia before they stopped by? Did Mr. Murdaugh
No,
say
sir,
that?
I did not know that.
Okay. And if Mr. Murdaugh, Alec, had stopped by normally during the daytime, you wouldn't have been there, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And Alex and Maggie that Sunday night stayed about 30 minutes.
Approximately 30 minutes, yes.
It was late.
It was late, And
How late do you think it was, like 11 o'clock?
I think it was closer to 9.
Okay, 9.
It hadn't been long put Miss Libby to bed, and she was starting to doze, and Mr. Murdaugh was already asleep.
And Miss Libby, let's say 2-3 years ago in 2021, what was her state? She has dementia, is that correct?
She does have dementia, well, Alzheimer's dementia. It is basically the same thing.
Okay.
It affects the body in the same way. At that time, she could not walk. We could pick her up and put her in the wheelchair, pivot her, and take her and put her in the bed, and she could feed herself. But now she is deteriorated and she can't feed herself. She can't even give herself a drink of water.
Mentally, did she recognize her sons when they came to see her?
Sometimes, sometimes not.
Has that gotten progressively worse?
That is how it works.
Was she aware of the fact that her husband of, I think, 40 years had died, Mr. Randolph?
We told her, we took her to the funeral, but within a couple of weeks, she doesn't, it didn't seem to recognize the fact that for about, I say, a month, she would call for him from time to time, and then now she doesn't.
When Paul, while you were there, when Paul or some other family member would come over, would that calm her down?
Sometimes. Paul had a way of having a calming effect on her. He would always remind her of the past. Like, Grandma, you remember that whipping you gave me with that fly swat? Things like that.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Did she watch television a good bit?
She still does, but she doesn't. She used to would play along with the games, but by 21, she wasn't doing that. She was just watching.
Okay. Thank you for its indulgence. No further questions.
Anything further? Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. Next witness.
State Call Supervisory Special Agent Matthew Wild.
Let me push it up some, y'all. I'm gonna push it up some. I push. Oh Lord. Well, okay, him. I want to hear him. Hold up, y'all. This is the one I want to hear. I don't want to hear the special agent.
And 18 seconds. So what would account for the 13 seconds difference between the two?
I guess it depends on the records you were looking at. There might be a slight offset between the records the other person was looking at and the records I was looking at.
And the 911 call center, of course, would have a timestamp on incoming calls.
Correct.
Have you ever seen cases where there's a few seconds difference between those timestamps and this kind of records and what the 911 center might have?
Yes, sir. I mean, there's a difference between when you press the green button, and it usually takes a couple of seconds to connect on the other side.
And could we, on the Elmo, go to slide 56? And the reason I would like to do this on the Elmo is I think that the presentation was cutting off the bottom of the screen.
It was.
And this, can we see the top so we can kind of get context for what this is? Just, slide it down so that the top is visible. So this was Alec Murdaugh information, and this was on June 15, 2021, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you know that's a Tuesday?
I don't.
We scroll so we can see the bottom. It says that activity after 2:33 p.m. indicates travel to Somerville. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any data after that? Is that the end of the data that you have regarding Alec Murdaugh?
Is that the last slide?
You have. Okay. So this is slide 56 that we're looking at.
Yeah, there was other data after that.
And you have location data for Alec Murdaugh after June 15th?
I think so. I think
In this report?
Not in this report.
So in this report, I'm sorry, because that's
Yeah.
what we're looking at here.
Yes, sir.
Because I understand, of course, you have cell phone records. He kept using the cell phone, obviously, after the 15th.
Yes, he did.
But for what's being presented to the jury, the last entry is, I'll represent, Tuesday, June 15, is the end of what you have.
Yes, it is.
And he's going to Somerville.
Yes, sir.
And finally, there last 2 or 3 slides, we don't need to show them. There was some information for some other people, a C.B. Rowe, a Marty Cook.
Yes, sir.
Why were you looking at information for them?
I was requested to look at the information for them for the night of the incident.
Were you requested to ever look at information for an Eddie Smith or a Spencer Roberts?
Eddie Smith sounds familiar, but I'm not sure about Spencer Roberts.
Did you look at information regarding Eddie Smith?
Yes.
Do you have that information with you?
I do not.
You do not have the information.
I don't.
Well, why he open up that folder? Why he open up that folder like he had the information with him? These folks are man.
Beg the court's indulgence.
He opened up the folder like he had the information.
And did you get to know him very well?
I did.
Through the years. Did you know the family before they moved their primary residence out to what we call Moselle? Did you know them before then?
I did.
Okay. Were you there when they moved or obtained Moselle and started using that as a residence?
I was.
When Moselle was first constructed, how many entrances and exits were there?
Just one.
And which one was that?
That was one by the cabin, or one that leads to the sheds.
Okay. And the sheds is that the dog kennels in the hangar area?
That's correct.
And the cabin I think you referred to, is there a cabin on the side at the front of that entrance?
That's correct.
Okay. And who put the mailbox in there?
I believe it's Maggie.
And tell us about that cabin. Tell us where it's situated and why you know so much about it.
My freshman year of college, Paul and I actually lived together at the cabin.
So it's like a small house, basically.
That's correct.
And where is it situated in regards to the hangar area?
A little bit closer to the highway.
How many feet or how far away?
100 yards, maybe.
And so you lived there, I think you said, for the summer?
It's just a semester.
A semester?
Mm-hmm.
All right. How would you describe yours and Paul's friendship? How often would you guys communicate a day?
Just about every day. Every other day.
Phone calls?
That's correct.
And texts?
Primarily phone calls.
And later in life, did Paul go to school?
He did.
Where did he go?
USC.
And that's located where?
Columbia.
And did you see him whenever he would come back into town?
I would.
Would he come back frequently?
No, sir.
At the college level? At the college years?
No, sir.
When would you see him? Would you see him in the summers when school was out?
Good bit.
All right. And I think you mentioned before y'all did a lot of fishing and a lot of hunting. Are you familiar with firearms in general?
I would say so.
Did Paul have any guns that he favored? Ones that he kept on him and kept with him most of the time?
He did.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit about, however you want to describe those two guns.
The two guns that were with us most of the time was black 300 blackout and a.
Yeah, he almost finished. Soon as he finished, then we'll be disclosing. But he just think about like 10 more minutes and then they'll be finished.
Flash 12 gauge Super Black Eagle 3.
And the Black 300 Blackout, what was that firearm used for primarily?
Anything.
Did you use it for hunting?
I did.
Okay. What would you hunt with that gun?
Anything.
Did it have the scope? I think you said there's a scope on the top or some sort of sight. How would you describe that?
Thermal scope.
That was my son one.
That's correct.
Okay. And describe the Benelli shotgun that you just mentioned also. What did it look like, and how did you know it was Paul's?
It had a very distinct digital camouflage pattern, and he had a gun strap that he's used since I've known him, and that's what stayed on that shotgun.
Do you know the differences between? So we hear, Benelli Super Black Eagle models, and I think we've heard 3 and 2 and 1. Do you know the differences between the various models?
I do.
Okay. So when you look at it, they have distinctive features on them that would tell you whether it's a 3 or a 2 or a 1?
Very subtle differences, but yes.
But you feel comfortable that you know the difference?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Sir.
Show you what's been marked as, entered in evidence as states. Do you recognize what this gun is?
I recognize that as Buster Murdaugh shotgun.
Okay. What model is this?
Super Black Eagle 2.
And you know it's a 2 because of the other features you just mentioned and pointed out for the jury?
That's correct.
Could you do that again? Tell us why you know that's a 2.
Like I mentioned earlier, the slight flare on the 3. This one's straighter, more narrow. Does not have the indentation for the magazine port, and the button is circular.
And you said it was Buster's shotgun. How do you know that?
The Mojo sticker on the barrel.
Assist her in her investigation of financial improprieties within the firm.
In some ways, yes.
All right.
The edge of Moselle Road, right?
That's correct.
And Paul's go-to guns were a 300 Blackout and the 12 gauge Benelli that you identified here in the courtroom, right?
That's correct.
But now you knew that Paul's had originally been given a 300 Blackout for Christmas that got stolen, right?
Correct.
Did you go to the party with Paul and he had the 300 Blackout in his truck? Go in the party, come back, and it's gone?
Not exactly how it happened.
How did it happen?
Didn't realize it was missing for a few days.
Okay. And Paul would never lock his truck, would he?
No, sir.
And he would leave guns in his truck, right?
That's correct.
Did you know that 300 Blackout had been replaced?
I did not.
Yeah.
Correct.
What kind of threats were you aware of?
Just threats that he would say people would text him. Different social media platforms, but didn't really go into very vivid detail or anything.
I'm sorry.
It didn't go into very vivid detail about anything. He just
and his circle of friends got really close, tight after the boating accident, and you and your brother. He talked to you all frequently, did he not?
That's correct.
And then he would go to Charleston to visit with friends down there, correct?
That's correct.
Well, he didn't feel comfortable, in the Hampton area where he lived because of the boating accident. Is that right?
He stayed away.
Yes, sir. That's all I have. Thank you.
Redirect.
Nathan, you were asked about threats to Paul. Did you ever know that Maggie received any threats?
I was not aware of any.
I'm going to ask you, council asked you about a little bit about the kennel area, and asked if you'd heard water. Are you familiar with how generally the kennels were cleaned? Were you there when the kennels would be cleaned?
Sometimes.
Generally speaking, describe the kennel for me. What was actually inside of one of the kennel runs?
The kennel had a doghouse, beds in the doghouse, and just a kind of a concrete pad.
And if you're going to rinse off the kennels, what would you do with the dog bed?
You would put it on top of the dog house.
Okay. Why was that?
So it would get wet.
And then what would you just leave the dog? Would the family or any you were cleaning it, leave the dog bed up on the top of the kennel, or are they going to bring it down when the kennel after a certain point in time?
You wait for it to dry and then bring the bed.
If the family, if you were down there or anyone was down there at the kennel area and it was nighttime, would you turn the lights on?
Yes, sir.
Are there sufficient lights out there to make it a fairly well lit area if all the lights are on?
I'd say so.
If you're at the main house and the lights are on down at the kennels, can you see that area from the house?
Yes.
Would it be very visible to you to see that there's lights on down there?
Yes.
Would the fans, are there fans in the kennel area?
There are.
Would the fans be left on generally for the dogs?
Generally.
And again, if anyone was down there working, would the lights be turned on?
Yes, sir.
That's it. No further questions.
Anything further?
The council asked you a question about Paul's phone usage. I think he said Paul uses his hands and what he would do with his phone. Do you recall if Paul did have to use his phone, would he put it in any of his pockets?
If he was working outside in that capacity, pocket, he would put it in his back pocket.
And that was the common thing he would do almost nearly every time?
That's correct.
Nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Anything further?
All right, y'all. That's the. Think this the last one.
Your Honor, thank you.
Let me step down.
That's the end of that trial, y'all. I don't know, y'all. The only thing we're gonna do, let's talk about the trial. Let's talk about it now, because after hearing what we just heard, hold up, y'all. Hold up. Let me get that fine, y'all. Here we go. Let me turn some music on. It's Friday, going into Saturday. First of all, I appreciate y'all watching the, involving yourself with the trial, because I've been on this. I've been in this trial, on it. The real deal, y'all. We've been working on it. I think that when the lady, the lady who the one who stayed in the house, who know everything, who was doing everything, I believe that when she said she didn't recognize them shoes, not Paul, but what his name? Alex shoes. She'd never seen them shoes before. Let me take my hair down, y'all. Excuse me, I forgot I'm back on the air. She'd never seen them shoes before. So whose shoes was it? And why did the investigators have everybody walking around the house? Did they know she was in the house in the bathroom? Because he had his towel and he had the khakis. He had the towel, he had his khakis. First she said then a puddle of water. Then she said it was a towel in the closet with a wet towel. So what that person do, rinse out real quick and change into something that belongs to Alex? What it sound like to y'all? Because Alex, it seemed like somebody with Alex. Seemed like they didn't even say the pants belongs to Alex. And then she cleaned the shower. She cleaned the tub out. Why did the investigators let this woman go through this house like that? If they was doing their investigation, somebody could be on his side, on his team with the investigation, and also $30 million. Maggie, that's on her mind. That's enough to get anybody stroke. And like she said that somebody was suing her for $30 million. That's a lot of money, y'all. She said, just take it, and I'll start from scratch. But it seemed like whoever involved with Alice, we got to say you involved, because this your case, this your trial. Alice was majority, most of the time, high. So he really don't even know what's going on. He spent his time getting high. And Maggie noticed that he's not spending time with her. Most men don't. Sometimes when they married with their wife, they're always busy. But so she was asking for that time. But they also said when he was at work on the video that we did yesterday, he wouldn't sit down. Of course, he wouldn't sit down because he was feeling, on another level. But I still don't know. Only person I can see that everybody's talking about is speaking on Ellis. Ellis is our key witness, but only thing got to me now is those shoes. Whose shoes were those shoes in Ellis' room? Because she said she never seen them shoes before. This, I don't know what to say. I really don't. But I'm gonna stay on it. So probably tomorrow morning sometime, we'll be getting another section of the case of the trial. See what part we missed and everything. I want to thank y'all for being here. The real deals. I appreciate y'all. This is an interesting case because Paul soon. I want to know. Paul wanted. He choose the people who he want to be around his wife. The lady wanted to work in the office, and he want her to work at the house because she wasn't doing good in real estate. Too much going on. But y'all leave and it was a lot of hearsay. There was a lot of hearsay going on, and hearsay, like we said, is not allowed. Hearsay is not allowed when they start saying what he said. You can't. They tried to get one of the attorneys tried to get estimated or question who used to stay in the house about Alex, but they stopped him. So he was doing. You got to pay attention and stuff to these cases, but it was interesting. I like it. We're gonna stay on it. But okay, y'all, if y'all don't have anything to say, I guess I finished drinking my Kool-Aid and get me something to snack on. I don't know, but I appreciate y'all patience. And I turn the music up for a minute. I dropped the I would drop the invite in case somebody want to come up and talk about the case. Nothing but the case, y'all. We are allowed to stay on the case. Whatever we're talking about, they want us to stay on content. So I dropped it. green yard. And also, if you would like to donate to the channel so we can move up a little bit, you can donate either through, most people want me to put my cash out. I feel funny doing it. But what really would make me feel good if y'all just join the channel for $4.99 a month. I appreciate it. But if you do want to donate to the channel, I put this up for you. Y'all, I was so tired earlier. I was gonna come in here earlier, and that sleep hit me. Jesus. I was sorry. I had no doze out, y'all, and then I had to come on at 5 o'clock and 4 o'clock, waking up at 4:30 in the morning. It took me out. That was took so long to get on here. I forgot where I put my cash out on. I put it up there the next time. I don't feel like looking for it. And if you want to donate to my cash out, here you go right here. You don't have to, but if you like to. I love y'all. Just let me to give you 5, 2, 3. Now, if you want to donate to the cash app, that's it right here. Or either you can donate to the super chat. You know, I'm not asking for anything, but I supposed to be doing this anyway. This year, I went to hold your butt. All right, y'all. Anything else? If there's nothing else to talk about, I'm about to go over here to TikTok and look at my videos that I created today. When I got off, when I got home from work, I made some TikToks, y'all. Yeah, I made some TikToks. Funny. I like to have fun. So I believe that's why I was sleeping too, coming out at work. When I was at work, when I got out of work, I was TikToking. And then when I got home, I did I can't dance, y'all. But I be trying. Woo! I'm still dancing with it. I do something. Oh yeah, y'all, I got a partner. Oh yeah, y'all, I'm getting my car next week. Oh, my car is coming back. I be wanting to take Camper and Minnie to work with me, but I don't want to take them in somebody else's car. So they're gonna be driving. They're gonna be riding their own car. My baby's gonna be going to work with me this week. So I'm glad. So I think it's gonna be probably Wednesday, Thursday, y'all. I told my son, I don't think I'm gonna let. I said, do you not pay over $6,000 something for the car? Oh no, not for that little bit. I said, boy, why y'all tripping if they cars don't cost a lot of money? You gotta pay for the label, you gotta order them for, have to order this stuff. And you gotta pay for the person who's doing it. I don't know why they think money grow on trees, y'all. We have to pay insurance, full coverage every month. I don't know. And then I said, I don't know if I letting you drive my car. I don't want to do him like that because it didn't happen with him leaving to work because he don't use it while he's at work. He leaves the car. But when he go out, he's not going to go out in my car no more. But he can go to on his job. Because the only thing he got to do is just park the car. But I can't afford to go through this again because I'm not buying nothing else. And I love my Nissan, y'all. Nissans are good cars. I love my Nissan. And it wasn't even wrecked. The car wasn't wrecked. Let me show y'all the car. Yeah, I'm glad I just thought about it. Let me see that I have it. Hold up, y'all. Let me see, because I supposed to be showing y'all how the car looks. Let me see. Hold up, y'all. I want y'all to see it. It's bad, but it's not that bad. But and I had to get another tire. Let me see. Oh yeah, let me show it to y'all. Let me see. Download, share. Hold on, let y'all see it. 1 second. Upload. Okay, here you go. Nice. Okay, hold on. Hold up, 1 second, y'all. I want y'all to see it. Okay. Okay, here it goes. Let me let y'all see my car. But it don't look like that no more, y'all. Okay, let me see. Oh, look, y'all, it may take y'all off. Hold on. Let me pull it up. Hold on, y'all. I'm still trying to find the picture. God, it ain't filming. Oh, it's finding me now. Yeah. Okay, let me see that it pick up, y'all. It ain't pick up. Hold up, y'all. It ain't pick it up. Okay, wait, y'all. I don't understand why I didn't pick up. Hold on, let me try one more time. Let me see, did it go to my photo section? Yeah, it went there. Hold on, y'all. Here you go, here you go. Let me try it one more time, y'all. I want y'all to see it. Let me see. Let me keep it right here. Let me try to do it one more time, y'all. I'm trying to let y'all see the car. Hold up, y'all. It should be under this one. Let's hold on for a minute. I want y'all to see it. And not pulling it up. You didn't pull it up, y'all. I don't understand. It didn't come up, y'all. Let me see. I don't see it. I wonder how can I. Okay, I'll show y'all right here. It's not letting me download it. I'm about to show y'all right here. Maybe y'all can see it from here. Okay, here you go. Can y'all see this? Hold on. See how it messed up right here? Hold on. See the front end right there? It was messed up right there in the windshield. Hold on, let me see. In the tie flat. See, it didn't mess up over there on the driver part. But they had to replace all of this. All of this. The tie, the windshield. So that wasn't that bad. So luckily, praise God. But other than that, y'all, my baby look good. My baby got the good when I pick it up. But okay, y'all, go ahead on and enjoy y'all your weekend. And I'm just about to lay here and do nothing. And I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all being here, okay? All right, y'all. I love y'all. Peace. I'm out.